Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes are sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. There's a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish or Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Prohibit, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes sweet and sassy. Not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Morning, cupcakes. Today's Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. And thank you so much for coming to spend your day with me. And if you're working and I'm keeping you company, yay. Keep an earbud in. I'll try and keep it clean today. And I don't know, can you hear me? My microphone was just making a weird color. Usually there's a blue light and then now it's green. Hopefully you can hear me okay. How's everybody doing? I'm tired. Who's tired? Is anybody tired out there? Are you tired of everything? Are you tired of everything that's going on in the world? Are you a parent who's taking care of children and parents? This is an exhausting generation to be in. Let me just tell you. Well, I mean, our kids have an exhausting generation too. And I'm sure our parents had an exhausting generation too. But all the things, right? All the things. Senioritis is a real thing. What do you do with senioritis? Somebody help me. I've had 5 kids. Each one of them has had it. And it's a real thing. It's March and you're graduating in May and nobody wants to go. Nobody wants to go to school. They've checked out. They don't want to do it. And yes, look at Happy Rage Crocheting. And this is what she's doing probably in her sword. My father-in-law just moved in with us. I have 2 kids under 10. I'm exhausted. We're exhausted. We try and do it all. And it's, my son is home sick with strep. Again, very exhausted. Yeah. Isn't that a thing too? Because when you're the parent who takes care of the kids and your kids are sick and you have to go to work, luckily I work right here and I don't have to go far. But if your kid is sick and you have to go to work and now you have to call out sick again to work because you have a sick kid, it is exhausting. Scarlet Begonia is feeling it too. 2-year-old granddaughter lives you're so blessed. That's such a great age. You have to not really chase her around. Well, probably you do have to chase her around, but I love the bucket stage the best when the babies are in a bucket and they can't run around and you don't have to chase them. Let's say, chase them. And I love that so much. I can't wait to have grandchildren. I'm very, very excited for that, but it is exhausting. Right. And Jackie says, I'm exhausted, but I'm also my husband's caregiver. He has a TBI due to a car accident. Oh, girl, I feel you. In my more than 3 decades as a plaintiff's lawyer and injury lawyer, I know how debilitating TBIs can be. And I also know the personality changes that can occur when someone has a TBI and how hopefully, well, I'm not going to talk about your situation, but I know what can happen. And I know how some people's personalities completely change with a TBI. And I know that it is very, very difficult to be a full-time caregiver, especially if you're not a nurse or someone who's cut out to do that. It is exhausting. Take time for yourself. It's so important. Even if you can get somebody to come and take care of him for a couple of hours so you can just go get a massage or something, take care of yourself, because lack of sleep will make you truly crazy. And I'm not even saying that I really have like lack of sleep. Like I slept enough last night. I just feel like I'm always rushing and I'm always behind. There's just not enough hours in the day. Mama She, hi honey. Senioritis is the thing. I have one graduating middle, one in fourth. I'm an only parent and I'm exhausted. It's exhausting. What do we do? Well, I don't know what we do, but one thing I did was I made a self-care list on my Amazon list for you. And trust me, when I'm not hawking these products on Amazon. I'm just sharing with you the things that I like that help me. And the 50 cents or the 75 cents that they pay me if you guys buy something on the list, really, that's not why I'm doing it. But I have on there. And if you don't have one, I don't know how I ever lived without this. It's a throw blanket. That's an electric blanket that you put on your lap and it's heated. Also, they make one that goes around your shoulders and your neck, and it's a heated blanket. It's like $26 on the Amazon list below. BZNH girl, New Hampshire girl, New Hampshire. I'm reading the recorded call from Justin about him entering the house. He's a real piece of work. I have not read it yet. It's going to be a cold read for you. And Yarn Workcraft says caregivers need to make sure they get care too. Look and reach out for the help available. Yeah, even if you can just get somebody to come in for a couple hours, it can change your life. And also so you can maybe get some sleep. Sharon Creates says, yeah, my daughter went from 7th grade, great student, to 10th grade, hates it, won't go, cries. I have been there. I don't know what to do about it. If you guys know what to do about it, help each other. I know you guys love to help each other in the chat, but it is a real thing. And I've been saying this, I have been screaming into the closet about this for such a long time, at least since I've been on this channel, because I started this channel in the summer of 2023. I feel like if you have kids that are in the between right now 15 and maybe 22, that your children and my children and our children went through the worst of it with the lockdowns, at least here in New York. My kids were out of school and I had 3 in middle school at the time. They were out of school for, I don't know, it was like close to 2 years. And it was debilitating. And at least my girls had each other. But for the kids who were home alone, for the kids whose parents had to work because they were first responders, for the kids who had to take care of the younger siblings, this is a, I'm not going to say, I don't know, mental health crisis. Maybe it's not that grave, but that these children are not going to forget. And the ramifications of it still are happening, I think. The isolation, the being cut off from their friends, they're being dumped by their teachers in their schools. And it's really, if you guys notice it in your own kids, let me know, because it's just, I don't know what we can do about it. KXC says, I had to send my child to private Catholic school 30 minutes away because I was in the medical field before they fired me for not getting, the thing that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube. Wow. Good morning. Bull Mom to Owen says, good morning, cupcakes. You all helped me get through my day. Thank you. You're welcome. Mandy's Wild Ride of Life says, it was and still is debilitating for my 5th grader who was in 1st grade at the time of the lockdown. See? Debilitating. And I don't know. What do we do? What do we do? Maybe we can get a mental health professional on here to tell us what to do. Oh, girl. Rachel Boss Mom says, I have 2 permanently disabled children, just became an adult. 2 permanently disabled, just became an adult children, and I will be a caretaker for life. 1 is wheelchair bound. It is exhausting. Oh, you guys are going through it all. This is a great advice. Yarn Work Crafts. We have my father-in-law with dementia for 7 years before there was a lot of assistance for home care. Look for senior centers, accept what the insurance offers with home health care. Yes. Marie, my youngest, is finally off to college in the fall, and she had a very hard time in middle school with some mean girls. Reach out to guidance counselor. Sometimes they're helpful. And I'm glad you brought this up about the mean girls and the bullying and the BS that's going on. on the internet by adult women and adult men. It's gross. And you know what is so gross is that bullies raise bullies, in my opinion. Where do you think these children learn how to be bullies like that? They learn it from their parents or they see it at home. And hold on a second. They see it at home and that's how they're raised. And it's like, if there are grown adults out there acting like this on the internet and bullying people that they don't even know, it's insane. Who does that? Who does that? Why are you so invested on bullying a person you don't know on the internet and you're grown ass adults? Everything that is going on out there is disgusting. And think of the children that they must be raising, because that's what I tell my kids. If people are being mean to them, is just like, it has nothing to do with you, everything to do with them. And think about what goes on in their homes. Like, you don't know what goes on in their homes. It's got to be rough because hurt people hurt people. It's horrific. We all need Jesus. Here's tiny Jesus. Here's tiny Jesus. There it is. Drama queens never grow up. But also, I mean, is there more power? Do you feel more empowered when you can do it behind a fake name on the internet? You know, and if this is what's going on with grown ass adults, imagine what's going on in classrooms and with kids and how they're, hold on one second. I mean, we're all exhausted because of spring forward. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of that. I mean, that's part of it. Maybe we lost an hour, but I don't know. That I don't know about Nurse Kim, but I do know that Nurse Kim was also sent the same message that I was sent, in which I was told that I am bullying Meredith on the internet. I don't think I've mentioned her. Maybe I've mentioned her but twice on my show. Tiny Jesus isn't gonna do it, says Nanger. And the exact message that was sent to me was this. And is this a guilt trip? We'll talk about this more later, because now they're walking it back and they're telling me that it didn't really mean anything. And they were just trying to bait me into a mental health conversation. This is what these people do. They're manipulative. I don't even know these people, okay? Here was the message that I was sent, probably the same day that Nurse Kim was sent her messages. This was on March 5th. Will it be enough when this person that I was just talking about takes her own life from the online bullying? Stop believing this shit, Melanie. You're contributing to these lies and bullying. I'm sorry, what? And paid me $5 to say that. What is wrong with these people? And then did the same exact thing to Nurse Kim and probably to other people on the internet that don't believe that John O'Keefe was hit by a car. What are we doing here? What is wrong with these people? They need to just get off the internet, stop trying to ruin people for having opinions, and just take a nap. Take a nap. Touch some grass. That's what I said. Desiderata said, Melanie, the one that writing that needs to intervene if she truly believes what she wrote. That's what I said. I said, if you think that your friend is going to self-harm because of internet bullying, don't you think you owe her something? Isn't there an obligation to try and do something about it? Pay me $5 to tell me that I'm going to be responsible if this person takes her own life? Are you effing kidding me? The Guzma coma score. Yeah. Stop coming for other people, and maybe other people will stop coming for you. I don't know. They come for me, and I'm not even on that cesspool of a platform. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know if I ever will get it, because you can't try and figure out other people. I'm exhausted from trying to figure out other people and their motivations, because you're never going to do it. There's never going to be a satisfactory answer. And sometimes there just aren't no answers. And Robin says, literally no one with a friend going through a mental health crisis would ever do that ever. No. And you're telling me that it's a private message, or out there people were like going for Nurse Kim because those were private messages sent to Nurse Kim about this person's mental health? Private messages. You're publishing people's private messages all over the internet. And you're going to come for Nurse Kim for publishing something that you sent her that shouldn't have been public because it was private, that you're blaming Nurse Kim for the same exact thing that you're blaming me for? What are we doing? Yeah, Little Cupcake says, because you're so above and beyond, they're playing games to try and push your buttons. I know. You tell me that all the time. But sometimes I just can't shut up about it. Sometimes I just can't. Yeah, there's a lot of truth in here. There's a lot of it. Well, here's our motivational quote of the day. I don't know. Maybe this will help us. This is for Tuesday, March 10th. I can't believe it's March 10th already. Patience is necessary, and one cannot reap immediately where one has sown. Okay, that's a good one. Patience is necessary, and one cannot reap immediately where one has sown. Soren Kierkegaard said that one. Patience is necessary. I guess I got to remind myself of that every day because I'm very impatient. That's the quote of the day. Remember, my favorite quote that we ever pulled was, or maybe it was a badass affirmation. It was, winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners. That's my mantra every single day. Now we also have empowerment cards, because who doesn't need a little empowerment every day? Here we go. Let's pull one. So don't go bullying anyone on the internet, because you're better than that. I know you are. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. That's your empowerment card of the day. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. There it is. Boop. Truth. Don't try and skate through life. Challenge yourself, and maybe you can also help to make some changes. I don't know. Happy Monday, Cupcakes for Justice. Happy Monday. Oh, thank you yesterday to Jackie1111 who bought me matcha latte and wanted to know about my mascara. Here it is. This is the only mascara that I use. This is Roller Tint by Benefit. It doesn't clump. It's got an excellent brush, and I love it. It's on my Amazon list if you want to look there for it. I don't know. I think it's like $28 maybe. But I've tried every single mascara out there, and I used to be a Dior lash girl. And it's super expensive, and this is so much better. Something about the brush. I'm not sure what it is, because it's like whatever it's made from, it goes on really easy. I don't know, because it doesn't have like those fibers hanging from it, which I just don't like. All right, that is the other thing. Here's another tip for you, because I'm full of tips today. See my roots? They're really gray, but they don't look gray in the camera right now. You know why? Because Color Wow makes this stuff. It's a powder, and you brush it on your gray roots like this with this brush right here. Say it comes like this. Oh, hello. Done. Gray is gone. Gives you more time in between roots. Root touch-ups. All right? You're welcome. You're welcome. Hold, please. You like Roller Lash too? So thanks, Jackie, for asking. And also thank you so much to Gigi, who said had a great show this morning and sent me a Cash App. So that's amazing. That's amazing. Oh, it comes in a bunch of colors too, that Color Wow powder. Go out and get it. You can get it from my Amazon list, which is below. I think it's like $35, which is cheaper than getting your roots touched up, right? Karen DePasquale gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. All right, we're giving people time to get in here with our 20-minute chit chat. Thank you, Karen, so much. And to the 5 new members who were gifted, welcome. Flower Lady 8 says, it's a mental health crisis. I have a junior in college, and lockdown has affected her immensely. If your children are going through that, reach out for help. Therapy can be a lifesaver, literally. Here's the problem. Try and find a therapist. Try and find a pediatric therapist. Try and find one. Sometimes you can find them on Zoom. Try and find one who's in person. It's just rough. Maybe Samantha Benigno would come on and do a show about that. That's a great idea. Thanks for me suggesting that to myself. I think I'll reach out to her and see if she wants to do that, because I think all of us could use a little assistance, maybe some advice, some tips and tricks on how to deal with that. What do you think? All right. Call Samantha. Let me write that down. I'm going to forget. I still have notes from the other day about donating things to DV shelters. Call Samantha. All right. All right. Well, a lot of things. There's no hearing today. What do you mean? What hearing? What hearing? Did I put hearing in the title, Lauren? Maybe. No, we're doing motions in lemonade today. Motions in lemonade. And they're really called motions in limine, but we call them lemonade because one day the closed captions did. And so we adopted it. Motions in limine are motions that are made prior to trial to have evidence either admitted or excluded from a trial ahead of time. These motions are made up. I see Lauren's exhausted too. I've been on Samantha's show. It's time for me to invite her over to my house, right? Thanks, Carrie. So we've got motions in limine on Kelsey Fitzsimmons, which I have not read yet. And if you have read them yourself, many people were outraged. Thank you, Suze, for sending them to me. She was outraged. I haven't read them yet. So it's going to be a real-time reaction, like always. And also, I have so many things to talk about. I don't even know where to stop. This could be a long one today. But since the title says Kelsey Fitzsimmons and Karen Reed, I think we're going to do Karen Reed first because that's the shorter of the two. And then we're going to deep dive and start digging into the motions for Kelsey Fitzsimmons because the trial's coming up. Trial's coming up on March 23rd. That is a Monday. I wonder if she's going to go with a jury or a bench trial. We won't know probably until the last minute. And this Thursday is the final pretrial hearing or the trial readiness conference at 9:30, which is probably when they're going to argue some of these motions, if not all of these motions. Some of these judges, reserve until trial. Remember what happened with Edric Faust. But however, this is in Massachusetts. Thank you, Eman. Smooth as cruise for your $5 super sticker. I appreciate you so. And not a Haas defendant says at 55 years young, I have gone back to school for a degree. Definitely a challenge. Congratulations. You're never too old to dream a new dream or to pivot into a new career. I mean, who thought at my age I would be one and I would be a YouTuber? It's never too late. All right. Let us go first to Judge Doolin's order on Karen Reed's phones. Okay. So I can't even keep it straight. Recently, the best I can do for you is recently we watched a hearing in front of Judge Doolin. Was this the one that was not on the physical court calendar for the day? It was in Norfolk County. It wasn't on the actual daily calendar. It was kind of scheduled in secret, maybe, but somehow Karen's attorneys knew about it. The O'Keefes knew about it. Mark Diller found out about it because he called in on a conference call. Not a conference call, but by phone. And then the motion is to give Karen back her 2 cell phones that were taken from her, that were seized by the MSP in January of 2024. They have never searched those phones. They have never extracted those phones, despite the fact that they had obtained at the time a search warrant, despite the fact that in March, I believe it was March of 2024, they convened a grand jury to try and indict Karen Reed and Aidan Carney together for conspiracy to commit witness intimidation. Now, this is interesting too, because I was thinking about this last night. The people who are leaking Aidan Carney's cell phone extraction on the internet. This is an extraction of Aidan Carney's phone that has been in the custody of the MSP since October of 2023. Right? And so they've had this extraction. The search warrant was just for seizure. Was it though? Because I'm conflating all of my cases. I thought it was for both, but they just never did the search because they couldn't get Karen's passwords. I could be wrong on that. Because they've never applied for a new search warrant, right? Karen's been asking for the return of her phones or the return of her property, really, because she wanted the initial phone that they seized, which they gave back to her from January 2022, her Lexus, which they gave back to her, and these two phones from January 2024. So Aiden's extraction that is being released in dribs and drabs on the internet by some people who seem to think it's really important has been in the possession of the MSP since October of 2023. They had that when they went to the grand jury to try and indict the ham sandwich of Karen and Aiden in March of 2024. The grand jury did not return a true bill. They did not indict the ham sandwich of Karen Reed and Aiden Carney. And in fact, when Karen Reed's first trial started in 2024, her team didn't even know that the grand jury had been convened and failed to indict. Remember, I think they found out during trial and they were taken aback by that because they were surprised. So remember, they had her phones in January 2024. What evidence did they bring to the grand jury to try and indict them both? I guess it was only Aiden's phones, right? So if they already had all of the information in this extraction that now they think these people are releasing like it's some big gotcha, it's been in the possession of the MSP since then. If they had something on those phones to indict Aiden and Karen, they would have. For Karen, it was seizure only. They never went for extraction until now. They didn't use it for that grand jury. Right, because they didn't use it. Because they didn't get it. But everything that's coming out that was on Aiden's phone, they've had. And that would include all of these signal messages of Karen that are on Aiden's phone, right? So they've tried it. They didn't do it. And so Lauren, thank you, Lauren. I have a question. Why is it that only Karen's signal messages are coming out in that extraction and not Aiden's? I don't know how that works. I'm not a cell phone expert. I'm not a forensics expert. But if they're saying that all of this stuff, they, meaning the proverbial they, people who think John O'Keefe got hit by a car and Karen Reed should rot in jail forever or prison. If they had Karen's messages from Aiden's phone, right? So if all these people think it's a big gotcha that they're releasing these messages from Signal and other places, they would have already used them to indict her because they had all of these messages that are coming out now when they had convened that grand jury. It's a red herring. It's a boondoggle. It's a big nothing, in my opinion. Just Mima. Just Mima. Listen, if there was anything on Karen Reed's phone, they would have already charged her. And I don't believe for 1 second they haven't looked at it in full. A lot of people feel that way. Yes, there are, right? Aren't some of those messages Signal that they say Karen's, that they just say Karen's? Is that app usually not set to auto delete, or at least that's what Hank said in trial? Yes, but then Gothboy UK says that Signal can be set to delete automatically after a few hours, but at some point it allowed for only one side to delete and leave it on the other person's phone. Right? So there's nothing incriminating, but she's entitled to the return of her property. Okay? They've now had these phones for over 2 years and they haven't done anything with them. There is a case right now that has been argued in front of the SJC, and I watched some of the arguments, but I kind of checked out midway through. If somebody can remind me of the name of the case, I can look it up again. But they're arguing about how long the Commonwealth is entitled to hold on to cell phones specifically without doing anything about it until it's too late. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at this memorandum and decision, and we're going to go through it. And it's It's quite bizarre. Because I thought when I kind of thought that Doolin was just going to give him back. And the fact of the matter is that didn't Judge Krupp already order her property returned? And so this kind of makes no sense to me. Masked out, I see you're here, so feel free to. Diaz is the name of that case. All right. I look because did you watch the appellate arguments on that? Maybe I'll link them below in case you guys want to watch them. All right. This is the memorandum. All right, why doesn't this stuff go away? Go away. See, here's where this gets weird. Okay, first of all, there's no caption. Okay, there's no caption on this at all. Doesn't say the parties. Just says Norfolk on the top left corner. On the right corner, it says Superior Court Criminal Action. And then it's got this number, 2482SW0004. That is a search warrant number. That warrant number, the case number under which this is filed, does not exist in mass courts. It just doesn't. Mass Dad, can you access this in mass courts? Because it's not there. If you can, you might have special powers. So when I say it doesn't exist in mass courts, that means you can't find this search warrant number. You can't find this case number. You can't find the number inside the court system of where all of these papers are filed. Don't send me any documents. Don't send me the search warrant. Don't send me anything. What I want to know is what actual case number does this exist under? They're never listed in mass courts. Okay, well, there you go. There you go. So you can't, there's no way to access these filings, you're saying? They're just in a black hole somewhere, or they're just secret, or both? Because this is an action regarding the search warrants, but it's really not, because really what it is a motion for an order to return property, but it's got no docket number. Or index number, as we call it in New York, or case number. I have so many questions. Okay, in Ray, again, this number that doesn't exist in mass courts, 2482SW0004. How is Ted getting them? They must have been leaked to him. Somebody must have given it to him, one of the parties. Hold on. No, it's not the old case numbers from her old trial. It just doesn't exist. Criminal cases are with a CR in the middle there. 248 would be 2482 CR, blah, 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 blah. This is a memorandum of decision and order on Karen Reed's renewed motion for an order to return property. Karen Reed seeks return of her 2 Apple iPhones, one purple with a green case and one white with a clear case, seized by police on January 24th of 2024. The Commonwealth recently sought approval of a taint team protocol to search those phones in preparation for seeking another search warrant to authorize the search of data in those phones. Another search warrant meaning they already had one to search the data, or meaning they never had one to search the data. They only had one to seize. Pretty much these guys do whatever they want anyway, because they did it in Brian Walsh. They seized his phones and then they searched them outside the consent warrant, in my opinion, and they just got everything. This court, Judge Krupp, denied that motion, finding that the Commonwealth had failed to show its delay of 19 months in seeking to obtain a search warrant was reasonable. Okay, does anybody know the date of that order? Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Toots. Happy birthday, Toots. Hope it's a great one. If anybody has, because I can't find it in my system, I don't know what I put it under, but if anybody has Judge Krupp's order denying the motion, finding that the Commonwealth had failed to show its delay of 19 months was reasonable, if you could shoot it to me by email, that would be greatly appreciated. Suze, if you're here, I know you probably have it right at the ready. It was February 13th of 2026. If you happen to have a copy of that, or if you could shoot us me out, that'd be amazing. C memorandum in order regarding motion to examine digital materials seized from Karen Reed pursuant to January 22nd, 2024 search warrant. Again, the same search warrant number. In the present motion, oh, right, was it impounded? So many things were impounded. In the present motion, Reed contends that in light of Judge Krupp's decision, the Commonwealth has no basis for the continued possession of her cell phones. The court agrees. Although the Commonwealth has lawfully possessed Reed's cell phones pursuant to the court's original search warrant authorizing their seizure. Okay, so Judge Doolin's telling us everything. He's telling us that the original search warrant only did involve seizure. Such possession does not continue indefinitely. Indeed, in this case, where Judge Krupp has denied the Commonwealth's ability to obtain a search warrant for the contents of the phones due to the Commonwealth's unreasonable delay in seeking a warrant, and there's no pending case against Reed, there is no basis for the continued possession of Reed's cell phones. They've got no basis. And then he cites two cases, Commonwealth v. Arthur from 2018 and Commonwealth v. Sacco in 1987. Items seized pursuant to a search warrant must be returned when they are no longer, hold please while I change the screen. No longer needed. See General Law 276(3), quote, if an officer in the execution of a search warrant finds property or articles therein described, he shall seize and safely keep them under the direction of the court or justice, so long as necessary to permit them to be produced or used as evidence in any trial, as soon as may be. Thereafter, all property seized under the clause first of section 1 shall be restored to the owners thereof. Accordingly, Reed is entitled to the return of the two Apple iPhones. Okay, so he says she's entitled to getting them returned. But wait, there's more. Here's the order. For the foregoing reasons, it is hereby ordered that defendant's renewed motion for an order to return property is allowed. Okay, so your motion is granted, but the Commonwealth may retain possession of the cell phones pending appeal. You want Chaka? Yeah, we're in the land of the lost because this is the upside down, inside out Narnia of Massachusetts, and that's Chaka. And if you're a Gen Xer and you know about Land of the Lost, I think they maybe even did a remake. So if you remember, the Land of the Lost, you know that Chaka was like their mascot. So the renewed motion for an order to return property, which is the one that he's ruling on here, is allowed, and she should get her property back, but the Commonwealth may retain possession of the cell phones pending appeal. Okay. Let me tell you about the appeals process, okay? I saw some misinformation on the internet that they meant they have to appeal, pending the appeal of Krupp's order. No, this is pending the appeal of Doolin's order. This particular order, there is a statutory right to appeal, but here's how it goes. The Commonwealth has 30 days to file a notice of appeal. A notice of appeal is one piece of paper. It's one sheet. We intend to appeal this order within 30 days. Then they have to assemble the record, which means they got to get the record for the appeal, and that could take up to 21 days. Then they have to have the appeal. I'm going to do the math here. So we got 30 days plus maybe 21 days if the clerks are on it to assemble the record on appeal. And then the appellant, which in this case would be the Commonwealth, has 40 days to file their briefs. Okay. And then after that, after their briefs are filed with the court and they pay their fee, then the Commonwealth has 30 days to file their, the defense would have 30 days to file their briefs on top of that. And then 14 more days for the Commonwealth to reply if they want to submit a reply brief. And then after it's docketed with the appellate court, it's not the SJC, this would be the mid-level appellate court. And then they will decide whether or not oral argument is warranted. So that could take time. And then if there's oral argument, there'll be a hearing on that and they can argue in person. And then it will take time for the appellate division or whatever they call it there, the mid-level court of appeals, I'm not sure. The SJC, remember, is the highest court. And then it will take time for them to render their decision. Okay. And then if the Commonwealth loses again, and they don't like that decision, then they could try and appeal to the SJC, which is the highest court. And then that would take more time. Okay. So when you think that Karen Read is going to just get her phones back in 30 days from now, that's not exactly true. And of course, any side always has the right to appeal any order by just filing that one piece of paper saying we intend to appeal. It's a notice of appeal within 30 days. So if you add 30 plus 21 plus 40, that's 91. Then plus 30, 121 days, plus 14, plus. Do you see where we're going here? It could be maybe 6 months for a final decision on the appeal. And then if they appeal further to the SJC, it could be months and months and months and months after that. Remember how long it took for the appeal on double jeopardy to be heard and all the avenues of appeal that Karen Read's team pursued because they went the state route and then they went the federal route. They tried everything and it took a long time. Do you think at this point they're just going to give up? Because now apparently they've hired Cosgrove to be the special prosecutor for Karen Read. So they're paying him now to do this and he's getting paid by the hour. Do you think he's just going to give up? I don't. So that's how long that's going to take. Praise be. No one knows, but they're not going to give up because they already look like a bunch of jerks for having tried her twice. And now they've got these phones and they really, 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 really don't want to give them back. So Judge Doolin spent the entire order saying why she should get her phones back, but in the end says, but we're not going to get them back just yet. Commonwealth can still hold on to them pending appeal, which could take more than a year. If it keeps going and going and going. So there's that. And now that these people who have nothing better to do are leaking all of Aiden's messages on the internet, are they going to use some of Karen's messages that were found in Aiden's cell phone extraction as an argument that that's why they really, 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 really need to search the phones now, as if any of that stuff is incriminating at all? I would argue that you have every right to investigate the people that you believe are framing you. And so don't believe everything you read on the internet. But that's my opinion at this moment. Let me know what you think. Mastad says, Doolin is a great judge. This decision is great for Karen. Yes, but still, would you agree with me that it's going to take a lot of time? A lot of time. This will not happen overnight. She will not get her stuff back overnight. Kyle says, why only Karen's selective leaking? I think somebody just explained to me, Kyle, that if one person has their messages set to delete within 30 days and the other person doesn't, the other person's would still be, you're talking about the signal messages? But yeah, I mean, is it selective? It seems like a lot of people have marching orders on what to release on the cesspool, and it's ridiculous, in my opinion. Thanks, Cynthia, for becoming a member. Thank you, Lauren Elizabeth, for thanking me for all I do. I love you so much. I love you so much, too. Thanks for hanging out for 5 months with me. Magic S'mores became a member. Welcome. Elizabeth says, I've spent the last 3 weeks with my mom who's in the hospital. So tired. I'm so sorry. I hope everything. I'm sending you all the healing vibes for your mom. Bethany says, happy 3-month anniversary to us. I love you with all my heart. Happy anniversary to us, Bethany. How dare you says, in 2010, I decided to embrace my grays. I wear the gray as a badge of honor. Good for you. Good for you. Bethany says, you're getting some wicked storms today. in Illinois. Wind, tennis ball size, hail, tornadoes, prayers for Illinois. Thank you. Thanks for telling me. Everybody put prayers up for Bethany in Illinois. Scotty Ref says, hi, I love catching you live. Off topic. Did you watch the Olympic hockey? Yes. Any news on New Jersey versus Higgins? Johnny's hockey tribute. Yeah, it was very, I put up some pictures of the USA hockey team skating around with Johnny Hockey's jersey and then bringing two of his kids on the ice for the team photo. And breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. Yeah, there's a recent hearing on the Gaudreau brothers that we're going to go over as soon as I have some time. Thank you, Scotty, for tuning in from Canada. David says, I appreciate you pronouncing Latin words correctly. Oh, I took Latin in 8th grade. They don't offer Latin anymore in school, and I'm so glad I took it because it's so great for the vocabulary. And I wish my kids could take Latin, but they didn't. Scotty says, Karen Reed needs her phone back. What kind of shape was the Lexus returned in? That's a great point. That's a great point. A lot of people think they've already searched the phones and they just don't want to turn them over because Karen's experts will be able to figure that out. Then a whole lot of people might be in trouble for lying to the court. Thanks, Scotty, for tuning in from Canada. Desiderata says, simply put, sell fish. Oh, I see what you did there. Cell phone, C-E-L-L, and then a fish. Thanks, cutie. Thanks. A lot of Canadians here today. And BB says, if Karen gets her phones back, and that is a big if, in my opinion, she needs to have a forensic examiner take a look. Wouldn't surprise me if something wasn't added, allegedly. Deitch wins. Thank you, Mel. Oh, praying that Deitch wins. Thanks. Thank you, BB. There's a new interview that dropped that Adam Deitch did. It's like 45 minutes long. I will maybe play a portion of it, and then I will link the entire video below. Thanks, Aunt BB, for reminding me. KLM said, I thought Cosgrove has 30 days to appeal, and he hadn't talked to a DA yet. Well, he's got 30 days to file a notice of appeal. And I don't know why he's even talking to the DA. If the DA is supposed to be conflicted out. If anybody can explain to me how Cosgrove can go talk to the DA about his next steps when the DA is conflicted out of this case because they had to hire Cosgrove, I would love to hear any theories on that. He had 30 days to appeal the original order from Doolin, which I believe has passed. But I won't know until I see a copy of the order. So hopefully as well I look for that and see if it's in my inbox. Thank you, RB, for buying me a matcha latte, who says, time for a coffee. Thank you. It's not in my inbox, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that that Krupp order is more than 30 days old. And if he didn't file his notice of appeal within 30 days from the Krupp order, so there's that. But we don't know because everything is impounded or secret and we can't find the documents anyway. And I think perhaps, if I recall correctly, that was impounded. Right? Iris says exactly. Cosgrove is supposed to be a special prosecutor because of a DA conflict, but he's working with them. It makes no sense. I don't think Doolin is corrupt either. So alienated sharpness, an appeal is procedural. He can't prevent them from doing that. No, he can't. But is it standard to hold on to the property until all appeals are exhausted? Because that could be years. Right? Maria says, I believe, Melanie, that they're trying to make you stop from reporting on Karen Reed and Turtleboy because you have a lot of viewers and a lot of people were watching the trial in your channel. Yes. Yes. That's been pointed out to me as well. They've been trying since January 2024 to shut me up. Hold, please. Big Old Dog says it was filed January 30th. You're talking about Krupp's order. Well, then the time to appeal that one has expired. Unless he did file a notice of appeal and we just don't know about it. Alice says, has Karen Reed's team looked at the phones? No, because they can't get them because they've been in possession of the Commonwealth since January of 2024. Seems to me there's something not good for the Commonwealth. Procedural delay taxes, delay tactics. It's very common, Mass Dad says, to stay execution of a judgment pending appeal. I don't know. Do you think if Diaz is decided in a way that favors Karen, that they can move to re-argue? Do you think that Cosgrove is going to file an appeal? Of course, I do. No, you haven't missed Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Those are longer, so we're doing them second. What if anything says, or the Commonwealth lost her phones and don't have them to physically give back to her? Sarah says, Diaz is a huge case that so many have relied upon. This will be interesting. Well, Diaz hasn't been finally decided yet. They just argued that in front of the SJC, right? Recently. Oh, please. So this was, Diaz was argued 2 months ago. I don't even know if the SJC decision has come out yet because I didn't look. It was argued on January 6th, 2026. Commonwealth v. Diaz. If you want to watch that one day, we can. It's only about 32 minutes long. Okay. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to pivot over to the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case. So Judge Doolin spent a whole lot of time explaining why Karen should get her phones back, said she can get her phones back, but then said we're still going to, they're still allowed to hold the phones. Hold the phone until the appeals, I guess, are exhausted, all of them. All right, we're pivoting. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Please hit the like button on your way in. And if you're on replay, please hype the video. Yay. Pivoting over to Kelsey Fitzsimmons' motions and lemonade. And I heard this is going to really outrage me. So we'll see. We are going to start with the Commonwealth side. Again, Kelsey has a hearing, a pretrial hearing on Thursday, which we will be covering live. And then the trial is supposed to start the 23rd of March. Common Sense Investigator says we need to get some cupcakes to the North Andover Select Board meeting. I heard only one person spoke. But remember also at those select board meetings, the board is not allowed to respond. They have to just let the citizen talk uninterrupted. All right, this is the Commonwealth's. We're pivoting now to Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I had extensive show notes below the video. However, something happened when I went to save it or X'd out of it on YouTube last night. It didn't save. I apologize. So if you're not familiar with Kelsey Fitzsimmons, you will be by the time you read these papers. And here we go. This is the Commonwealth's motion in limine to prohibit questioning regarding claimed promises, rewards, or inducements. Remember, Tim Bradl argued in court, and I think also filed papers that they wanted to know if any witnesses had been promised any rewards or inducements to testify in this trial. And that was, I think, at the last hearing. That is when all of this information came out about just in it for the money Aylaian, Kelsey's ex-fiancé and father of her baby boy. All the information came out about Justin busting the door down at Kelsey's 3 days after she was almost mortally wounded, clinging to life in Mass General. He's not on the deed to her house. They had been living there together. The house is in her name, was in her name only because she had to sell it to pay for attorney's fees. And Justin wanted to get in there, busted the door down with 3 of his buddies and went in and allegedly took her laptop, her passport, cash, gift cards, evidence off the refrigerator, destroyed the alarm system, destroyed the modem, destroyed the surveillance system with his buddies. And Bradl said they're required to tell us if he's been promised anything, such as not prosecuting him or immunity. And Gubitosi, with the air quotes, the ADA for the Commonwealth and Essex Superior, got up and said, well, he's not really a recipient witness. We don't really need him. He was there when the gunshots rang out, but, he didn't see anything. But, if we do call him and, he needs to plead the fifth, we'll immunize him. And then they have since announced that they are not going to prosecute him for the breaking and entering into the home that wasn't his, that he had no legal right to be in, and stealing her things and hacking into her computer and changing the beneficiary on her pensions and hacking into her bank accounts and diverting money to himself. And other things that we've talked about at length. All right. So here we go. Commonwealth's motion in limine regarding to prohibit questioning regarding claimed promises, rewards, or inducements. Okay. They don't want the defense to be able to ask about any of this. And let's hear why. Now comes the Commonwealth and asks this honorable court to prohibit the defendant from questioning Justin Aylaian about claimed promises, rewards, or inducements. As reasons, therefore, the Commonwealth maintains that the witness has been offered no promises, rewards, or inducements because he committed no crime, and therefore any questioning on the matter claimed by the defendant would be entirely irrelevant. Oh boy, this is already, my blood pressure is going up. He committed no crime? Do you mean to tell me, Commonwealth, that you've already decided that Justin committed no crime because of what he told you? Oh, this is rich. This is rich. We're all in on the same joke, right? Facts related to the indictment. At approximately 6 p.m. on June 30th, 2025, Lieutenant Sean Daly, Officer Patrick Noonan, and Officer Timothy Houston of the North Andover Police Department responded to 125 Phillipsbrook Road to serve the defendant with a restraining order. The defendant, a North Andover police officer residing at 125 Phillipsbrook Road, with her fiancé, Justin Alyaian, and their 4-month-old infant. Okay. That right there is what? A misstatement of the truth, and or a lie, and or a falsehood. Justin had moved out. That's why he went on June 30th to get the restraining order and the order to take the baby away, because they had been in a fight. They got in a fight at the bachelorette party or bachelor party or whatever the hell it was on Saturday, June 28th. They broke up. And in his affidavit in court, he stated that he lived in Stowe, S-T-O-W, Massachusetts, with his mother and father. And that is what he put down as his permanent address. And he swore to it in that affidavit. Okay. So on June 30th, Justin Alyaian did not reside there. Okay. Are we clear? Earlier that day, Alyaian had sought and was granted an abuse prevention order out of Essex Probate and Family Court. Yes. Ex parte. Kelsey was not heard at that hearing. He did it, and he did it on his own. Alyaian alleged that the defendant physically assaulted him over the previous weekend and that he was in fear of her and for the safety of his child. He stated that the defendant had assaulted him in the past and feared that the defendant would hurt herself and the child if he were to leave. Everybody breathe slowly, right? In through your nose, out through your mouth. When was this submitted? I don't know, just yesterday. Along with serving the order, the officers intended to remove the defendant's firearms from the residence and transfer custody of the child to Alyaian. Right, based on his word and his word only, although maybe he brought some friends and family in or submitted affidavits from them to do exactly that. Take the baby away from Kelsey, a breastfeeding infant who was 4 months old. After arriving at her home, the officers informed the defendant about the restraining order, advising her that she was required to relinquish her firearms and give Alyaian the baby. Right. And we saw the video of them coming in the house, because Kelsey's father is a security expert or a surveillance expert or something such as like that. And there were cameras right inside the door that these officers came in. And we saw the video, and we saw the video of the officers coming in. There's no audio, so we couldn't hear what they were saying. But we did see Kelsey walking over to the door. She was breastfeeding her baby on the couch, walks over to the door with the adorable little baby over her shoulder. And we can see her back as she opens the door to 3 of her coworkers, 3 North Andover police officers. First one waving around a piece of paper. Second one, Noonan, wearing gloves. Third one comes in behind him. And we can't hear what they're saying, but I imagine they're saying something like, waving around again that piece of paper. Hey, Kels, hey. Hey, Kels, hey. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey, Kels. Yeah, Justin got a restraining order against you. So, here it is. So, you're prevented from being anywhere near him. And also, we got to have an order to take the baby away. And Justin's going to be here in 10 minutes to get the baby. So let's do it. There was no DCF with them, no CPS, no mental health worker, no female officer. And in fact, we have seen evidence or heard evidence or read evidence that Justin told them, hey, when you go to serve this order on her, she might try and hurt herself with the baby. So they were on notice. And this is the way they chose to handle it. And they invite the guy who has a restraining order against her to come to the house to get the baby, which he does with his sister. What's wrong with this picture? He doesn't, hey, yeah, we know you got a restraining order against her, but why don't you come and take the baby? A lot of people think this whole thing was there was a conspiracy, that Justin and his family conspired to take Kelsey's son. People think that. You're writing it in the chat. The defendant told the officers that her firearms were locked in a safe in the basement. Okay. Okay, so did you go check? Did you go check? Did you pat Kelsey down or something and remove her from the house and ask her to tell you where the guns were so you could go get them? Remember, she had just gotten her guns back because she had been out on medical leave for postpartum. And they took her guns and badge away, and she had just filed a lawsuit to get her guns back. And it was withdrawn. Go back to my early shows on this case when she did get her guns back a couple days before, and she was cleared to return to work 4 days later on July 4th. She was cleared. But no, they didn't. They just took her word for it that the guns were locked in the basement. Okay, cool. And you let Justin in the basement. Okay, got it. Approximately 10 minutes after the officers arrived at the residence, they called Aylaian to gather his belongings and take custody of the infant, right? So after they got there, 10 minutes later, they're calling Justin to come and get the baby. In anticipation of Aylaian taking the baby, the defendant, Kelsey, gathered items, clothing, diapers, bottles from around the house. Officers Houston and Noonan escorted her between rooms. I'm sorry, why didn't they get the guns first? What's proper procedure? Why didn't they get the guns first and secure the guns? After gathering bottles and diapers on the first floor, the officers escorted the defendant to the second floor so that she could get baby clothes. Well, here's the thing. All right. Well, officers, all 3 of them. While they were on the second floor, the defendant's mother arrived at the house. Who called her? They leave so much out of this story. Alyaian, who had been waiting at the police station, arrived shortly thereafter to take custody of the baby. Oh, so he went to the police station with the orders. Remember, Justin Alyaian is a North Andover firefighter. What did they do? They said, wait here until we get there, and then we'll call you to come get the baby. Wow. Is that proper procedure? Asking for a friend. Even though Justin has a restraining order against Kelsey, When the defendant heard Alyaian, she asked Officer Houston to keep him away from her. He shouldn't even be in the house if he's got a restraining order against her. Could you imagine how triggering it must have been for Kelsey to hear just in it for the money's voice after learning moments ago that he had a restraining order against her and a take away the baby order? When, remember, he had called Kelsey to meet him at the park. Was it that same day? Come to the park with the baby and meet me there. And she waited there for hours and he didn't show up. Was it the same day that the restraining order was there? I mean, that he went to get the restraining order? Riddle me this, Encyclopedia Brown. If Justin had Kelsey in a park with the baby, why didn't you go do this service there? I don't know, just spitballing with you. When the defendant heard Alyaian, she asked Officer Houston to keep him away from her. Imagine how triggering that was for her. Someone who they knew was recovering from postpartum depression, had been out on leave, and had just gotten her guns and badge back and was ready to go back to work. And had broken up with him over the weekend. To maintain order, Officer Houston left the defendant and Officer Noonan on the second floor and went to monitor Alyaian as he gathered belongings in the basement. I don't know what kind of belongings for the baby would be in the basement instead of in the nursery. And if he needed to get his shit out of the house, which caused him to break in 3 days later, why didn't he just get it then? Lieutenant Daly, when we saw the basement, didn't look like there was anything for the baby down in the basement. Lieutenant Daly remained on the first floor with the defendant's mother, Alyaian, and Officer Houston. Okay, wait. So was Alyaian in the basement or the first floor? My understanding of this home is the first floor is where you enter. We've seen the surveillance video. Then you go downstairs to a basement, and then you go upstairs from the first floor to where the bedrooms were. And so it's confusing. Officer Houston went to monitor Alyaian as he gathered belongings in the basement, but then Lieutenant Daly remained on the first floor with the defendant's mother and Alyaian and Officer Houston. So which is it? Minutes later, he heard Officer Noonan on the second floor yell, "He who?" Lieutenant Daly? Kelsey, don't do it. Kelsey, don't do it, followed by 2 gunshots. I've said this a million times, and I'm going to say it a million more. If Noonan said, Kelsey, don't do it, Kelsey, don't do it, and Daly heard that on the first floor, what would that lead you to? Just use your context clues. Kelsey, don't do it, meaning Kelsey, don't take your own life. Kelsey, don't pull the trigger at your own head. Or would that mean, Kelsey, don't do it, don't shoot me, if it's Noonan? Use your context clues. Followed by 2 gunshots. He ran upstairs and rendered first aid to the defendant, who had been shot once in the abdomen, and requested an ambulance to the scene. Wasn't she shot in the chest? I watched The Pit. Aren't the abdomen and the chest 2 different parts of the body? And where did the second gunshot go? And who shot the second shot? Did Noonan miss the first time? Because she was shot once, but there were 2 gunshots. I have so many questions. And how did Justin get up to the first floor? Lieutenant Daly observed a firearm. All right, so Daly, runs up to the second floor, renders first aid to the defendant, who had been shot once in the abdomen, and requested an ambulance to the scene. You know who didn't run upstairs? Justin Alyaian, a first responder. Firefighters are trained on life-saving measures, aren't they? Or are they not? Justin didn't run upstairs and try and save Kelsey's life. Lieutenant Daly observed a firearm where the defendant was lying and moved it to the bed. Yeah, because that's what you do. Tamper with the evidence before crime scene gets there. She was clinging to life at this point, okay? It's my understanding she was shot in the chest because she had a collapsed lung requiring the insertion of a chest tube, a couple fractured ribs, lacerated liver, and many, many, many other injuries that required at least 5 surgeries while she was in the hospital for 53 days. Daly took the firearm that was near Kelsey and moved it to the bed. He wasn't wearing gloves. You know who was? Noonan. Officer Noonan was briefly alone with the defendant on the small second floor. Again, I'm going to point out to you that they did not secure the guns, even though they knew she just got them back. The defendant was kneeling on the floor in her bedroom folding laundry for the baby. While standing in the doorway, Officer Noonan observed the defendant face him, lunge behind the door frame. Oh, they've changed it to door frame because we pointed out that there were no doors in the bedroom. See how the story has morphed now? The story was Kelsey lunged behind a door in the bedroom, got her gun, and they came out from behind the door. Now it's the door frame. How do you lunge behind a door frame? Exactly. And reappear pointing a firearm directly at him. The defendant pulled the trigger and he heard a click, but no round fired. Okay, so where's the second shot? All right, well, we're going to find out. The defendant began to stand up as Officer Noonan pulled his firearm out of its holster. Wait a second. She began to stand up. What position was she in when she pointed her gun at him? Was she laying down on the ground? Was she still kneeling, folding laundry? So you want us to believe that she was kneeling and lunged behind the door frame, pointed her gun directly at him, pulled the trigger, and he heard a click, but no round fired? Does she not know how to load her weapon? Was her weapon even loaded? Huh. It's hard to hide a gun behind a door frame. I totally agree with you. PNW farm dog. I mean, they're clearly saying here that she pulled the trigger and then she began to stand up. So she wasn't standing when she allegedly pointed her weapon at him, pulled the trigger, and it clicked. That makes sense. Right. You're kneeling and then lunging. How do you lunge from a kneel? Mission impossible with those moves, says Craftastical. Little Cupcake thinks that the don't do it affirms her version of the story. I do too. Because I think you would say, don't do it if somebody was trying to hurt themselves. Maybe you would say, drop your weapon if they pulled out a weapon, right? Drop your weapon. Who knew she was a ninja? Love wins over evil. Right. KK. Was the gun on the floor? I have so many questions. The defendant began to stand up as Officer Noonan pulled his firearm out of its holster. They keep changing the story. I want to see well, I don't know, we will probably never see it, but the grand jury testimony of Noonan. As the defendant attempted to rack her firearm to chamber a round, Officer Noonan gave several commands, including drop the gun, don't do it. Well, that is not what the other officer heard. He heard, Kelsey, don't do it. Kelsey, don't do it. But now Officer Noonan said, drop the gun and don't do it. Believing that she was trying to kill him, Officer Noonan fired once as the defendant continued trying to chamber a round. Officer Noonan fired a second round, striking the defendant. So where did the first round go? Interesting, though, how the story has completely morphed into something that it wasn't the first time. And also interesting to note that originally when Kelsey was arrested and arraigned, or she was arrested in her hospital bed, the charges were attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. And I think there was a third charge. And then it went to the grand jury, and the grand jury did not indict on the attempted murder charge. So they didn't believe what Noonan had to say. The only charge she's facing right now is assault with a weapon. And with her record and history, it would entitle her to 5 years probation. She's already served more time in jail than she would have had she been convicted on the charge that's pending. The next section says facts related to claimed promises, rewards, and inducements. On or about February 26, 2026, the defendant filed a motion for disclosure of promises, rewards, and/or inducements. In it, she claimed that there was overwhelming evidence of criminal activity, including breaking and entering with intent to commit a felony, destruction of evidence, malicious destruction of property, unauthorized access to a computer system, and identify fraud. It says identify fraud, not identity fraud. It says identify fraud. Hold, please. It was accompanied by unsworn statements by the defendant and her father, Stephen Fitzsimmons, and a video of Aylaian that appears to show him forcefully entering the home on July 2nd of 2025. It was July 2nd. I thought it was July 3rd. I could be wrong, but she was shot on June 30th, and I thought it was 3 days later. If it was July 2nd, it was only 2 days later. But the details don't really matter to the Commonwealth, or Gubitosi with his air quotes. However, after careful review of the evidence related to the entry at 125 Phillipsbrook Road and the allegations made against Aylaian, the Commonwealth concluded that it had no good faith basis to file charges against Aylaian. Right, Lauren? I thought it was July 3rd also, but here it says July 2nd, so. Here's what's funny about it. Originally, when they were notified of this incident and shown all the evidence and given all the evidence, when the DA's office was given this evidence all the way back in, I think it was August of 2025, about the break-in, etc. The DA of Essex County, Paul Tucker, said, oh, we have a conflict, so they sent it to Middlesex County. Middlesex County said, sorry, we have a conflict because Martha Coakley, who's part of the defense team, used to work here, I think, or something such as like that. So they sent it back to Paul Tucker, who had a conflict, which is why he originally sent it out. And then he reviewed it again and decided we have no good faith basis to charge Aylaian. Explain that to me, how that makes sense. You have a conflict or you don't? As an initial matter, there's no evidence that the order of the Probate and Family Court that went into effect on June 30th of 2025, which remains in effect to this day, is, quote, fraudulent or full of lies. Right, because Kelsey's never had an opportunity to be heard on that ex parte order. The defendant repeatedly disparaging the rules. The defendant repeatedly disparaging the ruling of another court in filings in the Superior Court demonstrates a lack of respect for the judicial process. A lack of respect for the judicial process. Footnote 1, which reads, the defendant has had an opportunity to litigate the custody matter in probate court, but has repeatedly continued the case. Do you think maybe they're waiting for the criminal case to be over before litigating the family court case? I don't know. I'm just spitballing with you here. Think she's got her hands full trying to keep herself out of jail again? Just a thought. In any event, the defendant's accusations fail to recognize that when Alyaian was granted custody of the child he shares with the defendant on June 30th of 2025, he needed to obtain clothing and other items of daily living for both the child and himself from the house he had shared with the defendant. I thought he did that when he came over to collect the baby on June 30th. I thought that's why one of the officers brought him down to the basement so he could collect the things. In fact, Alyaian was in the process of getting belongings from the basement when the shooting occurred, and he fled without anything. Oh, first firefighter I know who flees from danger instead of running towards it. Shout out to all the good firefighters out there who run towards danger. His sister was with him too, right? He heard gunshots and he fled. Okay. Right. Yeah, because you can't just buy onesies at the store. What would he possibly need? Great point. Great point, Paige B. What could he possibly need? He didn't take his clothes with him when she kicked him out? Therefore, on July 2nd, 2025, Alyaian sought advice from the North Andover police regarding whether he could enter the residence to get his belongings and items for his child. His belongings and items for his child. He sought advice from the North Andover. Okay, I think we're going to get to some phone calls here in a minute. When asked whether he could gather his items from the house, the sergeant responded, quote, yes, you have legal standing in there as far as the ... civil courts are concerned. You have keys, you have access. I know you live there. We know you live there. We are not going to stand in your way from collecting your property if you go and do your thing. I'm sorry, what? Kelsey is a member of the North Andover Police Department. They are certainly on notice that one of their own officers, Officer Noonan, shot Kelsey point blank in the chest, and that Kelsey was airlifted to Mass General and was clinging to life. And they say it's July 2nd, 2 days later. But they're going to give legal advice to the firefighter who they know just got a restraining order against her, took her baby away because they're on notice of everything here. All of it. The sergeant suggested that they could send a detail to keep the peace because, quote, especially if the roles are reversed, ... we do this all the time, ... the person who has resided there has a legal right to grab things. See Exhibit 2, 911 call transcript. Well, we got to go there. We got to go to the Exhibit 2 right away. Exhibit 1 is the docket in the family court case. Printed out 3/9/26. Justin Alyaian versus Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And the next event is April 14th, 2026, is right here. Judge Mary Black is on the case. There was an order issued on October 23rd, 2025. I think they entered into a stipulation, as I recall. So what they're not telling you here is that the day after Justin got his take away the baby order and restraining order when Kelsey was clinging to life, July 1st of 2025, that's the day that Justin filed for full custody. I mean, the mother of his child is laying in a hospital bed at Mass General, clinging to life, and he runs into court to file for sole custody. Do you think this was premeditated at all? I don't know. I'm just asking. Then he amends his complaint on August 8th. Then he made a motion for temporary orders in September. I think she's in jail most of this time or in the hospital. Because remember, the judge sent her back to jail on September 11th. She had 2 days of freedom before she was sent back to Chicopee. Oh, yes. And then he made a motion October 14th to attach Kelsey's real estate for the payment of child support. He thought he should have all the money, all the proceeds of her house put into an account for him to pay child support until the child was an adult, because he was real confident that he was going to get full custody forever. But apparently this is supposed to show that Kelsey kept adjourning the dates and has not prosecuted the custody case. When it says right here, February 25th, 2026, joint motion to continue review hearing currently scheduled for February 25th. It was a joint motion. They both agreed to it. Piece of shit. Here's Exhibit 2, and this is allegedly, purports to be the 911 call that Justin made on July 2nd. Evidence title, Justin Aylaian, call to Sergeant Gehrke, 7/2/25 at 9:45 a.m. This transcript is unverified. I mean, really, what did somebody just, like, in the station just listen to it and just type it up? An unverified transcript may have been generated through a combination of speech-to-text technology and human edits. As a result, it may contain errors, so please refer to the corresponding evidence. Did they attach the tape or did they just attach the transcript? Important to note here that Sergeant Gehrke, I recall when I first started digging into this case, I think her name is Kathleen Gehrke. She had filed a lawsuit against the North Andover PD. I can't remember what it was for. I don't remember if it was for harassment. Hold on a second. She was a whistleblower. Yep. She was a whistleblower. We can look at that after, but I just remember the name sounded familiar. And the case was settled. It says December of 2025. Oh, please. I am not a robot. Select all squares with motorcycles. Yep. There's an article in the Eagle Tribune, which we're going to for a lot of our news lately, from December 10th of 2025. Town and police settle whistleblower lawsuit with female sergeant. Sexual harassment, retaliation, and gender discrimination. She claims she experienced during her time serving the department since 2005. Okay, well, this is interesting. We'll look at that in a moment. Here we go. Last edited by, this transcript starts at January 9th, 2026, 10:31 a.m. to 5 and is 9 minutes, 24 seconds in length. Okay. Oh, please. I think it is going to be live streamed. Many of the hearings have been live streamed lately because the news is getting interested and they're getting cameras in there. Thanks, Cruise Cupcake. All right. So this call has speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, speaker 4. Oh, and we're going to have to use our context clues. Okay. 10:31 a.m. Speaker 1, Northern Police and Fire. This call is recorded. Okay, so we know who Speaker 1 is, Northern Police and Fire. Speaker 2, hi, this is Justin Aylaian. It should say Aylaian. It says Justin Land. Hi, this is Justin Aylaian. I'm on the North Andover Fire Department. I'm off duty right now. I do need to speak with DOIC. Translation? DOIC. Speaker 1, yes, sir. Hold on 1 second, please. Speaker 3. Hey, is this Justin? Speaker 4. Yes, this is. Okay, so now Justin is speaker 4. And Gehrke, Catherine Gehrke, is speaker 3. Hold, please. Let's make pink Gehrke. And we'll make Justin blue. Okay. Gehrke, hey, is this Justin? Justin, yes, this is. Hey, it's Katie. How are you? I mean, that's a silly question, but I digress. I do care. Katie cares. Katie knows because Kelsey is her coworker. And Noonan shot her. And everyone knows what happened to Kelsey and where she lives and who Justin is. Justin says, no, yeah, doing as well. I don't know what that means. No, doing as well. We don't know what he said. I'm doing well. I'm doing as well as can be expected, or I'm doing well. We'll just call her Katie. Katie says, thinking about you right now. Yeah. So what can I do for you, Justin? What's that? Cuts off. We need to hear the recording of this because this is BS. Justin says, I needed to discuss my options of retrieving all of my belongings from Phillips Brooks. He doesn't even have to say the address because they all know where Kelsey lives. Katie says, oh, gotcha. Well, it's your house. So, I'm assuming that, you can make whatever arrangements if you just want us to because let's just say if this were, a scenario we deal with in any other case, with restraining orders, there's nothing barring you from returning to your own property except for your own safety. Oh, wow. They're concerned about his safety. So I can't, we don't have any jurisdiction and we don't even navigate about mutual property. So when we get restraining orders, people have to, commonly the defendant would ask it's different in this case because you may be in stow. From what I understand. Oh, so how does Katie know that Justin's in stow? Because you may be in stow, from what I understand. But any property that's in there is between you and Kelsey, and civil courts doesn't have anything to do with us. We have no jurisdiction to say what can't be removed, what can be removed. Justin says. So Am I able to go to the house with a bunch of fire buddies and remove my belongings? Katie says, I just know, yeah, yes. We have no jurisdiction on that. I don't, are you in communication with her family and things like how? And Justin says, no, I am in no communication with her family whatsoever. Katie says, yeah, do you know if they're at the house at all? That would be my only thing. If you wanted to, I don't know, go, if you feel like they're there, and I mean, it's your house. So truly, you can go in there anytime you please. This is really, really, really bad advice. Kelsey owned the home. They were never married. His name is not on the deed. He doesn't have a lease that he has any legal right to this property. They broke up. She's clinging to life. And this is Gehrke's advice to him. And then she continues, and let's just say hypothetically they were there and they get all bent out of shape about that. What you could do is just call us for us to explain that to them. Wow. It's not his house. He had no legal right to enter. And yet this is what North Andover PD, the co-workers of Kelsey Fitzsimmons, co-worker one, is telling Justin the day before he actually goes and does it. Justin says, "Oh, so my only concern would be I know they're blaming me for a lot of this." Yeah. Yeah. I mean, could you see how? Could you see how? You going into court and getting the order while Kelsey was waiting at the park, ex parte, taking her baby away from her. Maybe they would blame you for what happened next, especially since you told North Andover. North Andover PD's got a big problem. They got a big problem on their hands, right? So they got to win this. They got a big problem on their hands because number one, they were told by Justin that when you go serve her with these orders, she may try and harm herself for the baby. They're on notice of that. Now, apparently, they told Justin he could go break into the house and take whatever he wants. And now Justin is telling them, Kelsey's family blames me for a lot of this, but he's not in contact with them. Right, Angel. He's not in contact with them, but he knows they're blaming him. And if Justin lied to police on July 2nd for the breaking and entering on July 3rd, what else did he lie about on June 30th to kidnap the baby? Thank you, Jason. So Justin says, so my only concern would be I know they're blaming me for a lot of this, but he just said he wasn't in communication. Look, right at the top of the page. No, I am in no communication with her family whatsoever. That should say it says your family. So I can't even trust the accuracy of this transcript. But this is what they're submitting to the court as an exhibit. And then Katie says, situation. Oh, she finishes his sentence. Justin says, so my only concern would be I know they're blaming me for a lot of this. And then Katie says, situation. Yeah, I get it. Yep. And then Justin says, they are there. Yep. For the potential retaliation or any of the sorts. Yeah. What does that mean? They are there? Meaning like they are there at the house? How do you know that? Because it turns out, I think, Kelsey's father showed up the same day Justin broke into the house. I think even while he was there. And then Katie says, so you can play it however you want to play it. I'm going to leave that up to you. One option would be to shoot them a text, or shoot is an unfortunate choice of words. Shoot them a text or anything like, just so you know, I'm going back to the house to pick up some belongings. And then Justin says, they would. And then Katie says, say no, absolutely not. Justin says, I'm pretty sure they would show. And then Katie says, up. Yeah, okay. She keeps finishing his sentences. Katie's a police sergeant. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her more in a second. So what you may want to do is just go do what you got to do. I can't keep you from there, nor would I want to. It's your house as well. It's your property. So it's. And then Justin says this. Technically, it's technically the deed is in her name. Sure. The deed is in her name. He tells the sergeant this. Katie says, sure, but you're like, obviously. And then Justin says, a residence of that house. Not anymore, you weren't. Because when you went to court 2 days before this to get the orders, you swore under oath that you lived in Stowe with your parents. And here's the sergeant giving out legal advice. Katie says, yes, you have legal standing in there as far as the civil clerks, civil courts are concerned. You have keys, you have access. I know you live there. I know you live there. We know you live there. We are not going to stand in your way from collecting your property if you go and do your thing. We're not going to stand in your way. We're not going to stand in your way if you go and do your thing. Are you kidding me? Mel says they are trying to cover his theft, and this is all going to blow up. Technically, his mama had the judge's phone number. What, normal mini mom? Katie isn't too bright. Says 25 years on the job. LawTube's most hated mod, Scott. Why is Katie giving out legal advice, and the wrong legal advice at that? Wow. Animal Lover says, I want to know why they continue to protect him, given the way he threatens to escalate things. Okay, we're going to get there. We're not there yet. Katie goes on to say, well, let's start again. Yes, you have legal standing in there as far as the civil courts are concerned. You have keys, you have access. I know you live there. We know you live there. We're not going to stand in your way from collecting your property if you go and do your thing. So he's protected already. And just if you get there and someone's there, we can, before you even go into the house, you could call us and, meet us over at the school parking lot area and be like, they're there right now. Can you send someone by to keep the peace? Why are they all on Justin's side instead of Kelsey's? Legal Tubes says, my ex had ties to law enforcement and the district attorney. He broke into my house several times. I had to move. This is a case that hits me so close to home. Shout out from Colorado, Scobuffs. Proud alum of CU right here, Scobuffs. Maybe we'll have a better team this year, I hope. Next year. The locks were changed, says Law Junkie. He did not have a key. That means no entry. Strong Leg says the ADA saying Justin broke no laws is based on lies Justin told the police. But he actually did tell this sergeant allegedly that he was not on the deed. Can you if you get there and someone's there, we can, before you even go into the house, you could call us and, meet us over at the school parking lot area and be like, they're there right now. Can you send someone by to keep the peace? And we'd be happy to do that for you. We do that all the time. Okay, especially if the roles are reversed. If you had asked to leave the house, we do this all the time where, the person who has resided there has the legal right to grab things. Okay. If you thought you might need someone to be there to keep the peace, why in God's green earth would you give this guy permission? This makes zero sense. And Justin's protected from jump. Justin says, yeah, I'm just going to get as many friends as I can and get out of there as fast as humanly. Wow. He's telling the police department he's going to get as many friends as he can. And they're all going to go there and break into the house. Yeah, I'm just going to get as many friends as I can and get out of there as fast as humanly. And then Katie finishes his sentence once again and says, possible. Yeah. So if you end up being there and either if they're there already, my suggestion would be to kind of hit over to the parking lot of the school and we can break the ice, keep peace, be like, hey, Justin has every right to grab his things, and okay, you should cooperate with this because it's just why create more issues. I mean, it's not like you live there too, with your baby and in yourself for quite a bit of time. So yeah, so we could break the ice, Forrest, if you'd rather just do it that way and hope that they're not there. I mean, they're giving him all kinds of tips and tricks to break into the house that he's got no legal right to break into. Yeah, and then they show up while you're there. Just try to keep cool heads and just call us and we'll send someone right over to keep the peace, Just okay. Again, they know he's got a restraining order against him because they flippin' served it on her 2 days before and then shot her in the chest. This is mind numbing to me. And Justin's in fear of Kelsey. Again, what is it that he can't buy at CVS for the baby? The baby can't breastfeed anymore because you took the baby away from his breastfeeding mother. Formula, bottles, onesies, blankets, they're all available. They're all out there. There's things such as stores out there and Amazon can deliver to you same day, oftentimes. And your parents, apparently, who helped you with this, in my opinion, maybe could have gone shopping for the baby. I don't know. And then Sergeant Gehrke says, don't even mention anything and just disturb. Be like, the police will come down and we'll sort this out. Anybody who's been in this situation ever knows what is supposed to happen. You need an order, typically. Maybe a court order allowing you to go into house and get things, and you go to the police and they escort you there. They don't just tell you that you can have every legal right to go break in the house and get it, especially when he tells you he's not on the deed and he's got a restraining order. And Robin says he wasn't going there to get his stuff. He was going there to rob her. Kelly says, this shows how the police conspired against Kelsey's family. I'm like, 18-wheeler Alligator Crate says, legal advice from a woman who can't finish her own sentences, but finishes his. And certainly says, you know a lot. We'll get back to that. Psychology of 19 says, Yes, I was involved with a family like this, taking control and supporting the removal of the child. They never expected the public outcry to help Kelsey, right? And thanks to all of you, Kelsey's Give, Send, Go is over $100,000 because you guys are amazing. And then Justin says, well, actually, I don't know who says it. Says speaker 3. So here in where we are, speaker 3 is still Gehrke, Katie, who says, I'm okay. I'm not trying to create any, more difficulties for any of us. And let's just call the police. They'll come down and help us. No need to, I guess I should say, butt heads. No. Sometimes things get very emotional and difficult. So, but we could diffuse it a little bit if we just say, hey, let's just all hang out for a minute and we'll call the police to help us, tell us. And that's what we say. And what we'd say to the family is, you know what? We're just trying to, he has a legal right to grab what he wants out of the house. He was resided there. The son's in his custody. So you got to grab the baby's things, I'm sure. Okay. So, and if there's down the road, like any dispute on property, what we would tell her, like if she says, oh, my 50-inch TV is gone, he took it. We would just tell her that she'd have to take it up with probate court. Oh my God, are you flipping kidding me? How about telling him he's got to take it up with the probate court and get a court order to allow him back into that house after he got a stay away order against her? I'm sorry. This is why they're not prosecuting him, because this Sergeant Gehrke gave him bad advice. They can't prosecute him because she told him that he could do it. This is the DA covering for the North Andover PD. Do you see why there's a conflict now? They're prosecuting a North Andover police officer who was shot in the chest by another North Andover police officer. So they can't prosecute Justin when the North Andover Police Department gave him the wrong advice. And he took it. Wow. I want to hear the recording too. I don't trust this transcript either. Yeah, like if she says, oh, my 50-inch TV is gone, then we would tell her to take it up with the civil courts. But, no problem, bro. Just go there and take whatever you want. And if you take her TV, she'll have to, we'll just tell her she has to go to court to figure that out. And here's what he says. He says, so, okay, yeah, no, I just want my tools and my clothes. I just want my tools and my clothes as tools. So important. Katie says, right. And then Justin says, don't have any of my stuff. So yeah. And then Katie says something very interesting. You have your weapons. I think you have. You have all. Oh, wait a second. Justin has weapons too. Is Justin carrying when he goes in the house? Is Justin carrying? If Kelsey's dad showed up at the same time Justin was there, is Justin carrying? Is Kelsey's dad lucky that he didn't get shot by Justin? What in the traveling Mary is going on here? And Justin says, I removed them all from the house the night prior. The night prior to what? The night prior to what? The night prior to Kelsey being shot? Were you in the house on the 29th? Was that Justin's weapon that Kelsey grabbed off the floor? I have so many questions. Katie says, you have your weapons. I think you have, first of all, how does Katie know that Justin has weapons? I have so many questions. And then Justin removed them the night prior to what? To her shooting? And so if you knew that you were going in the next day, then after you took your weapons, you didn't take your clothes or your tools. Wow. Because you know that if things had gone differently, and Kelsey wasn't shot in the chest the day that she was served with your bogus orders, and let's say she wasn't shot in the chest, do you think Kelsey would have let you in to get your stuff after that? Wouldn't you have taken it with you? Katie says, yeah, so that any property, we would just take a report from her and say, talk to the courts, because that's not our purview. Okay. She's giving Justin permission to take whatever the F he wants. And if you take something that's not yours, if Kelsey comes back in, because you know she's clinging to life, hey, by the way, she might not even make it. Take whatever you want. If she lives, and if she lives, and if she comes and complains that you took some stuff that wasn't yours, we're just going to tell her to talk to the courts. That's not our purview. I'm sorry. Justin seems to know the court system very, very well. He spent a lot of time there in the days leading up to this. Why don't you tell him to go to the courts and work it out, and that this is not your purview? Why don't you tell him that? No, nobody wants to tell Justin no. Why? Justin says, okay, understood. Now he's got a green light. Now he's got a green light because North Andover PD is on his side, because they have to be. Because Noonan could sure get in a lot of trouble if he used deadly force against a threat that didn't exist, right? And then Katie says, so if you're not going to give if you're not going to give them a heads up, which is your right to, it's not my business to tell you what to do. Wink, wink, say no more. Say no more. It's not my business to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you to give them a heads up, winky, winky. Say no more. It's not my business to tell you what to do. That's not our jurisdiction, because you don't have an order out against you. Yep. And we'll meet you before and break the ice with them and prior, and then we'll go from there. And if they show up, just call us. Just say, hey, I'm trying to get some property. Can you just send someone to keep the peace? Okay, this is very repetitive. She repeats herself several times. And you have a legal standing in that house. I don't know why it doesn't want to highlight the right portion, but here it is right here. And you have legal standing in that house. The cops should not be giving legal advice. Boy. He's got a stay away order, which I don't have a copy of right at my fingertips. But did it say that you have to stay away from her and her residence by a certain number of feet? Because he told the court that he lived in Stowe with his parents. And Justin says, so even though I have a temporary restraining order right now, I am still allowed to go to that house. And Katie says, yeah, the restraining order is on her. Yeah, it's not keeping you, it's her. Okay. Going back. Yep. Mm-hmm. Affirmative. I don't know what that means. Affirmative in little brackets. Justin says, okay, understood. Thank you for your time. And I appreciate it. Katie says, okay, all right, take care. You got it. Justin, call back if you need any help. Okay. And I really do feel for you. And I know this is terrible, but a lot of us support you. And we're all, it's terrible what you're going through. So yeah, no. I'm sorry, what? The sergeant of North Andover PD is telling this man, a lot of us support you, It's terrible what you're going through. I'm sorry. Your fellow officer is clinging to life after being shot point blank by one of your fellow officers, and it's terrible what Justin is going through? So you're advising him that he can go into her home while she's clinging to life in the hospital, that he's not on the deed to just get whatever he wants. And if she complains later, if she makes it, that you stole a TV or, something like that you weren't entitled to, we'll just tell her to go pound sand and go into court because that's not our jurisdiction. Wow. Wow. Justin says, it's, and again, Katie finishes his sentences. Yeah, nightmare. And I support you. And you're so kind to everybody. So anything you need, let me know. Okay. You know who's also kind and charming? According to Dr. Zeisel, the expert who testified in Lucy Medina and who's going to be testifying for Kelsey, abusers. They're so kind and charming to the outside world, aren't they? So charming. So charming. Everyone thinks they're the greatest. And when you speak up about your abuse, and I'm not saying that's what went on here, but I can see that he was certainly abusing the court system to get what he wanted. I don't know if it was physical or emotional because I'm not Dr. Zeisel and I don't have information. Follow the money. I've been saying that since the beginning, Coco. Follow the money, just in it for the money. I know I have the article on Katie pulled up right here for you. And we talked about this lawsuit way back in the day when I started covering this in July. I support you and you're so kind to everybody. So anything you need, let me know. Okay. Yes. Bias in print, bias on the record, bias recorded. Here for the T says the code wording in hopes he picks up what she's putting down. Hello, Aaron. Thanks for being here since Karen Reed. Oh, you've not been on this channel since Karen Reed. Okay, well, welcome back. Glad to see you. So, this is a great question. If Justin was so worried about entering the house for both his safety and covering his ass, why didn't he film his entry? Such a great point. He had 3 buddies with him, a brother and 2 buddies. Why didn't they film him? They had arms a swinging. They could have done it. Evolve My says, once Justin got that RO, he knew good and well to stay away from anything of Kelsey's. Mm-hmm. Is she not on the witness list? Janelle says, but why isn't she on the witness list? The transcript could be messed up. Could be. If we get the recording, obviously we will play it. Jer Walker says, I think the transcript is messed up and it only appears to be her ending his sentence. Could be. Could be that they're both talking at the same time, right? Wild Goose says, yeah, he just went for his stuff and her passport and the security hardware and the modem and her laptop and money and gift cards. And did he take anything of the babies at all? Justin says, okay, thank you so much for your time. I really, and then Katie says, appreciate it. You got it. Yep. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Bye-bye. Could be that they're both talking at the same time. You could be right. The call ends. Let's see. It says it's July 2nd of 2025, 9:45, 09:45 hours. Last edited by, this transcript starts at January 9th, 2026. Is that what they transcribed it? January 9th of 2026? It looks like the call begins at 10:31 a.m. Oh, it probably, speaker one probably means to say North Andover Police and Fire. This call is recorded. Hi, this is Justin Aylaian. I'm on the North Andover Fire Department. I'm off duty right now. I do need to speak with DOIC. Sorry, I couldn't watch the chat when I was reading. So if anybody knows what that means, DOIC, let me know. Desk officer in charge, DOIC. Desk officer in charge. I'm just making that up. Is it right? Hey, is this Justin? Yes, this is. Hey, it's Katie. How are you? I mean, that's a silly question, but I digress. I do care. Seems like department officer in charge. Okay. I was close. Seems like Katie's real familiar with Justin. Department officer in charge. Thank you, Tinkerbell. So it looks like this call was, if this transcript is correct, 9 minutes and 21 seconds long. They must have been talking pretty slow because that does not seem like a 9 minute and 21 second conversation. Are there parts of it that are cut out? I don't know. Conversation starts weird. The whole thing is weird. Okay, let's go back to the papers. This is still their motion in limine to preclude any evidence of promises, rewards, or inducements of Justin Aylaian. The following day, Alyaian again contacted the police department and requested a detail to be present when he went to the home to retrieve his belongings. I don't know. What's the difference between a detail and an escort? Is there a difference? I need somebody who knows the actual lingo of the North Andover PD. Hold, please. See Exhibit 3, 911 call transcripts. All right. Let's go to the transcript. Now we're on Exhibit 3. Here it is. This is July 3rd now. Justin Aylaian called to Lieutenant Salois. I mean, I would say Salois, but I don't know how that is pronounced. Does anybody know how that's pronounced? Lieutenant Salois. This transcript, again, is unverified. An unverified transcript may have been generated through a combination of speech-to-text technology and human edits. As a result, it may contain errors, so please refer to the corresponding evidence. Okay. And this starts at 10:31 a.m. Speaker 1, police. Hi, you've been, speaker 2, recorded. Hey, this is Justin Aylaian, off-duty firefighter. Can I speak to your OIC? Hold on, sir. Yeah, again, this is not properly transcribed. But speaker 2 is Justin right now. Speaker 1, this is Lieutenant Lowe. Can I help you? All right, well, I don't know how to pronounce his name either. Lieutenant Lowe? Okay. Salois, like the name Royce. Thank you, Holy Holden, who says, I had a friend with that last name and she pronounced it Salois. Okay. Lieutenant Salois. And you're from Holden. I wonder if they're related. Speaker 2, which is Justin. Hi, this is Justin Aylaian. I'm going to 120 Phillipsburg Road to retrieve all my belongings today with other members of the fire department. Oh, get them all in trouble, why don't you? I had spoken to Sergeant Inaudible, but we know who it was. It was Gehrke yesterday about what would happen if she said I had full authorization to retrieve all my belongings. And if her family shows up to call for a police, to call for a police officer, give the intense nature of what has happened in that house and what her family has already been trying to do. Oh, you didn't mention anything what her family was already trying to do in the conversation we just read, did we? Other than they're blaming him for what happened? I need to request a police officer is there at 9:30 when I show up. All right, except for it says that it's 10:32 a.m. And he was in the house, right? According to the surveillance at 9:35. So why does it say it's 10:31 a.m.? There's so many things wrong with this transcript. Except it says that Salois's detail started at 7:34 a.m. Maybe they downloaded it at 10:31 a.m. So many things wrong with this. No metadata, nothing. I need to request a police officer is there at 9:30 when I show up. Okay. And then he says, we're going to be there for 2 hours. And given the potential and the intense nature of what happened there, I don't know what has happened. I don't know what they're going to do. And I'm going to have to request that a police officer is there. Well, Justin, do you have your weapons with you? The intense nature of what happened there? Oh, you mean your baby's mother and former fiance being shot in the chest by a fellow officer and clinging to life at Mass General? Is that what you mean by intense nature of things? The intense nature of her being shot in the chest? Or is this all about you? I have a feeling it's all about him. And I have a feeling that the intense nature of what happened there has nothing to do with Kelsey being shot, but that's my interpretation. I can't wait for him to get on the stand. Speaker one then says, okay, yeah, we have, can you hold on 1 second? Justin says, yes. And then speaker one says, Justin, and Justin says, yes. Speaker one says, yeah, I'm told that the plan is if anybody does show up to give us a call, we'll be there immediately. We're very limited today on staff. But if there's any issue at all, we'll be there momentarily. Oh, look at that. They already have a plan in place for Justin. They already have a plan in place for Justin. And why is it going to take 2 hours to do anything? How much stuff does he have in that house? Is he going to take the 50-inch TV now because he was practically given consent by the last officer? The plan is they've got a plan. They've got a plan. They have to have a plan. Because Noonan shot Kelsey point blank in the chest, maybe using excessive force. We don't know yet, but we'll find out more. But wait, there's more, says Michael. Why is it going to take 2 hours if he's got 3 of his firefighter buddies? Yeah, we're short-staffed today, but we already have a plan in place, so don't worry. Just go do whatever you want. Justin says, all right, I'm going to have it noted that if something does happen, I requested 2 times for a police officer to be there from the beginning. Oh, he's a little entitled bitch, isn't he? Ooh, sorry. Oops. Not sorry. I want that noted because I will escalate this further because this is not right. From giving a situation that occurred in that house and the potential for something else to happen. And my family should have never been in that position in the first place. Now I'm requesting something that should be placed there. And you're telling me no several times. That right there is not right. Oh, he's pulling out the do you know who I am card? The sense of entitlement. And this is interesting choice of words, okay? So let's just dissect this a moment. All right. I'm going to have it noted that if something does happen, I requested 2 times for a police officer to be there from the beginning. Okay, if something does happen, like what? Like somebody's there, like from Kelsey's family to take you down? Like you get injured? Like there's surveillance of you breaking into the house? He says, I want that noted because I will escalate this further because this is not right. from given a situation that occurred in the house. What you mean, like Kelsey being shot in the chest, point blank? Or the fact that you had to run away and you didn't get a chance to gather all your and your baby's belongings. And yet you had been there the night prior to remove your weapons from the house. And yet when they came in, Kelsey told them that her weapons were locked in the basement in the safe, but they didn't go secure them before they let her go upstairs. And then allegedly she grabbed a weapon while she was kneeling on the floor, and then she lunged while she was kneeling. Was that your weapon, Justin? And then when he says this, and my family should never been in that position in the first place. When he says family, do you think he's talking about him and the baby and Kelsey? Because he's the one that went and got the order against her. He's the one who wanted to take the baby away. He's the one who told them, listen, when you go serve these orders, she may try to harm herself for the baby. They're on notice. Or is he talking about him and his family, meaning like his parents should not been put in the position where now his parents have to take care of his baby? I'm curious here. Which family is he talking about? The family he would have had with Kelsey? The Kelsey, him and the baby? I'm very curious. The most important person in the world, only himself. But he says in my family. So is he talking about his parents, where he allegedly lives and lived on June 30th? And says, did any of them carry a weapon into the house? Armed, breaking and entering. Right. Max Bang says, escalate sounds like a threat of violence to me. Does he mean escalated up the chain of command? Irish Mech says, was she Kelsey's sergeant? Yes. Yes, she was. Skate Stay says, and if Kelsey saw this part of Bustin during their trip, it explains exactly why she kicked him out. Well, she didn't get a restraining order. He did. May have been why they broke up. Heather says, Heathland Forever says, was his weapon conveniently left in the bedroom while she was waiting in the park for 3 hours? Andrea said, maybe he planted his weapon in their room knowing she might try and self-delete. JFK says, no, he means him, mommy, and daddy. This is JFK 3021. But Cosgrove's Velcro Sneakers has a different interpretation and says, I think he's talking about Kelsey and the baby. I believe he thinks that she should have never been shot. Magnolia Gypsy says, I think he's threatening them as if he is with Kelsey. My best friend is a goose says, if something happens means they won't let me take what I want. Thanks, Elf, for gifting a membership. You're awesome. Kyle says, no, it's not proper procedure in the Dallas Fire Department anyway. Thanks, Kyle, for your super chat. Johnny says, if as the story keeps changing, it gets harder to suppress the sick, nagging feeling that this was a black bag hit on Kelsey. Though I so hate to imagine that. Thanks, Johnny, for your 5 and your thoughts. Mason says they only address the breaking and entering and nothing at all about other crimes. Thanks for your 10. Alienated Sharpness pointing out that FYI, all District Attorney Paul Tucker is former law enforcement, 31-year career. Thank you for your deuce. Megan Johnson says he's a firefighter and he misused 911. Brilliant. Thanks, Megan. I love you too, Piney Woods. Thanks for being here for 13 months. Lamasu says, now you know why my head was blowing off reading this yesterday. North Andover has serious liability issues. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, they do. Now I know. Thank you for sending it to me. And you're here for 26 months. You're an OG girl. You're an OG. Brass, thanks for your 5, says detail implies officer dedicated to the event or location. Generally, road construction or large gatherings. Usually the requesting party pays for it. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your 5. Night says he seems pretty manipulative. Yeah, that's putting it mildly, right? Ex-Muffin Man says, shouldn't they have to explain why no longer a conflict of interest? A case against Kate Peter, the county tried to say there was no longer one, and Bradl got the judge to make them explain why. There will be a time for that, and I think he will. Thanks, Ex-Muffin Man, for your 10. I gotta know. It says, why is the house not a crime scene? That is a great question, too. That's a great question. Shouldn't it be? Thanks for the deuce. I mean, why wasn't the house not crime scene taped up? They didn't know if Kelsey was going to live at this point. And they're all expressing their condolences, feeling bad for Justin. Pierce says, did anyone examine the house after the shooting? What do you mean examine the house? I think they did an investigation. I mean, we don't really know. There's not a lot of documents available. But they did collect evidence and stuff. They had to collect the shell casings, and they must have done an investigation of some point, an investigation of some kind. When did they clear that house? All great questions. Guess we'll find out during the trial. Angela said he really wanted her laptop, and now we have proof he was willing to risk going in there alone without the police standing by, although he gaslights the sergeant. That's right. With 3 of his buddies, and he said it was going to take 2 hours, and he wanted a detail. Thanks, Angela, for your 10. All right, back to the papers. In the sentence before this, he said, I want that noted. All right, we'll start again from this. All right, I'm going to have it noted that if something does happen, I requested 2 times for a police officer to be there. And from the beginning, I want that noted because I will escalate this further. Escalate this like what? Escalate it up the chain? Let me talk to your supervisor kind of thing? Or escalate the violence that's going to be necessary if someone's there for him to get his stuff, allegedly. I want that noted because I will escalate this further because this is not right from giving a situation that occurred in that house and the potential for something else to happen. Am I like he's threatening them with legal action or potential legal action if something should go wrong while they gave him permission to go in the house? And my family should never have been in that position in the first place. Now I'm requesting something that should be placed there. And you're telling me no several times. That right there is not right. Oh, and then Katie pops on the phone. Justin, it's Katie. We spoke yesterday. We asked, and then Justin says, we did speak yesterday. We did say we did speak yesterday. Given the intense nature of this situation and what could occur, I'm going to be there for 3 hours. I'm sorry, how many tools does this guy have? 2 or 3 hours? I know what her father's capable of. Oh, really? I know what could happen. But use social media there. What? But use social media there. Speaker 4 is, I guess, the other Salois, Lieutenant Salois, says, I'm just telling you, I understand the stressful situation, but what we spoke to yesterday was that we weren't going to prevent you from going into the house. But if something happened, you could call us right away and we'd be there just to, that was what we spoke on. Okay. And then Justin says, no, we did speak about that. And after thinking about it again, I wanted to make my concerns noted 2 times. So if something does happen, if something does occur, this will be noted, and I have no problems escalating you further. I appreciate your time. Thank you, and have a good day. Oh, you're on notice that if something happens and Kelsey's father does something to me, my family will sue you. Speaker 4 says, what time are you heading over there? Justin says, I'll be there at 9:30 with 5 or 6 other men. It's going to be a couple of hours. I'm sorry, is he going to empty the place of all its furniture? He says he's taking 5 or 6 other men over there, and it's going to be a couple of hours. All right, well, that's there was no like formal request at a certain time, Justin. I understand I understand that. And then Justin says, I went through Crystal as well. Who's Crystal? I asked Crystal, where's that phone call? Crystal said she would ask as well that I never coming back to me. This formal request. I called yesterday. You gave me this information. I'm calling again this morning, and I'm telling you that you guys do last minute details every single day. This is a last minute detail. Yesterday would have been a detail that was not last minute. Okay. Come on with your bad self. Speaker 4 says, would you like a detail? And then he says, oh, here it is. I'm not paying for a detail. This is Justin. I'm not paying for a detail. Okay. All right. I'm just trying. Family should have never been in that situation. My child and myself should never have happened. I will absolutely escalate whatever I have to do. If I'm saying that I don't feel comfortable and I don't want to put my brother, again, my friends into a situation where something could occur, or if you knew what happened, I don't know what her family would be capable of at this point. Really? Because you just said you know what her father's capable of. He's a security expert. They've already filed negligence against me as the father when there has been nothing. Where did they file negligence against you as the father when there's been nothing? Remember, this is July 3rd. I think Kelsey's father is pretty concerned with his daughter's medical condition and is probably bedside in the hospital. But yeah, you go on about your bad self. It's all about you. They've already filed negligence against me as the father when there has been nothing. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they would be capable of. But if you want to wait and find out, that's on you. And I'm glad this is a recorded line. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Speaker 4 says, okay. Justin says, so I will be there at 9:30. If you do not have someone there, all of my concerns have been noted. Thank you for your time and goodbye. Oh, he knew this was recorded. He was telling them he's going there come hell or high water. He's taking 5 or 6 guys with him this time, and he's going to be there for a couple of hours, removing his clothes and his tools. What the F is he even talking about? My best friend is a goose says family equals Justin, his sister, and baby because they were there when the shots went off. Oh, thank you. Right. Right. They were in the basement and then he ran away when the shots rang off. So they never should have had to be there when they shot Kelsey. So it wasn't concern for Kelsey. Of course. Why didn't I think of that? Christine says, God help Kelsey, please. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in from across the pond. Wow, just wow. Back to the papers. The following day, which would have been July 3rd, Alyaian again contacted the police department and requested a detail be present when he went to the home to retrieve his belongings. We just read Exhibit 3, the 911 call transcripts. Arrangements were made for a private detail, but Alyaian arrived before the detail and set off a security alarm when he entered the home. The defendant's father, Stephen Fitzsimmons, appeared shortly thereafter. Well, her father must have gotten notice that the alarm went off. The North Andover police responded. And here it says Exhibit 4 is the North Andover police report. Let me see if it's bigger than what they quote here. Exhibit 4. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We skipped a 911 call. So this is the same day. July 3rd, there's another call here. 9:41. This is at 9:41 a.m. it appears. Justin Alyaian called to Lieutenant Whitaker, July 3rd at 9:41. That first call was to Lieutenant Salois at 7:34 a.m. same day. And now it's 9:41. Again, unverified transcript. Good morning. This is Lieutenant Whitaker. Justin saying, Lieutenant Whitaker, this is Justin Alyaian. I'm at 125 Phillips Brooks right now, retrieving my belongings. What time was he busting down the door? I don't have it in front of me. What time is he caught on video busting the door down? Anybody remember? 9:35 a.m. Okay. He said he was going at 9:30, right? Lieutenant Whitaker, this is Justin Alyaian. I'm at 125 Phillips Brooks right now, retrieving my belongings. Speaker 1 says, okay, hello, Justin. Justin, are you still there? Hello, Justin. Say that again, sir. Justin, are you still there? I'm still there. I connected to my truck for some reason. Oh, I thought it was my phone messing up or something. Yeah, so you said that you were over on Phillips Brook gathering some belongings. Yep. Justin says, grab my belongings. The alarm did go off. It had changed the locks. The alarm did go off. Her dad has he set the full system up. He has everything. He's going to know the alarms went off, and I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be driving down from New Hampshire to show up here. All right, so this is 52 seconds into the call, so it is around 9:42, 9:43 a.m. And now he knows he's busted Justin. Lieutenant says, okay, whereabouts from New Hampshire would he be coming from? And Justin says, he's up in the not the Rochester. I forget exactly what town he's in. He's probably about 40 minutes away, 30 minutes away. Okay. I don't know if he's coming, but I have no doubt in my mind that man is going to come down with a vengeance. Wouldn't you? And does Justin really know where Kelsey's father is at the time or lives? Lieutenant says, okay. I mean, do you think that Justin says, I called 2 times. My family should never have been in this position. I called 2 times, once yesterday, once today, and I'm asking for a detail down here for 2 hours. If that's something you guys cannot do, I will gladly escalate the situation. This is ridiculous. Who's he going to escalate it to? He said he doesn't want to pay for a detail. Who's he going to escalate? What is this? Who is he? Who do you think he's threatening to escalate this to? This is ridiculous. Oh, and then Speaker One asks him, what do you mean by escalate the situation? Oh, here it is. Just in it for the money says, I will go to the media. I will do whatever I have to do to ensure my family's safety, my brother's safety here, and 2 firefighters that are here. If his family comes down, they are absolutely going to be doing something. Well, first of all, if it's her family, he's threatening to go to the media. Isn't that so funny? Because when he gave an exclusive interview to the media that we watched, I think we watched it yesterday. He gave an exclusive interview to the media on Friday, but he did not let them record it. But he's threatening to go to the media if they don't get over there and give him what he wants. He's setting up lawsuits for everyone involved. He's claiming to go to the media or Twitter or wherever the hell he's going to go with his complaints. And he's the one who just broke into the house. Were you lying then or are you lying now? Were you lying on the papers you signed on July 30th? On June 30th, saying that you lived in Stowe with your parents? Or are you lying now when you say you live here? Can't have it both ways. Wow. Lieutenant says, okay. And then Justin says, if you're saying there's no resources for this, it's insane. Lieutenant says, if you need a detail, I can put a detail out. Again, Justin says, I will not be paying for a detail given the circumstances of this. You can bring this to the chief. Oh, Chief Gray has entered the chat. Please bring it to someone because I'm not paying a cent for this. This is ridiculous, okay? Given the circumstances and the escalation of this situation, you not recruit. Providing a detail and having it be your guys' idea is unbelievable. Lieutenant says, we can provide a detail, but you're going to be charged for it. Justin says, I will not be charged for that. You know what? I'm glad this is the third time this is happening because when something does happen at this location, it's going to be all on that department. Once again, this is unbelievable. Lieutenant says, Justin, when he gets there, just call us and we'll send an officer over there to keep the peace. Justin says, that's not how it's going to go down, but thank you for your time. Okay, they already know that Justin has weapons because on the call to Katie the day before, Katie says, did you get your weapons out of the house, Justin? And he's like, yeah, I got them the night prior. And he's basically threatening that a gunfight will ensue if and when Kelsey's dad gets there. Wow. Exhibit 4 is the police report. From the North Andover PD. It's an incident report. Date and time reported July 3rd, 2025. The report is dated July 7th, 2025, and it says no crime involved. But look when they printed this up. March 6th, 2026. Reporting officer, Patrol Officer William Marcotte. Approving officer, Lieutenant Scott Whitaker. It is unsigned. It says signature, both lines are blank. Involved, number 1. Oh, wait a second. Hold on a second. Let me take this down for a second so I can redact it. Oh, please. This is why I should have read this before. Hold on. Do, 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 do. It's okay. Steve Fitzsimmons is a security expert, so if you're going to go at him, he's going to be prepared. Hold, please. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. All right. Mm. All right. Here we go. Right? Nope. More phone numbers there. Social Securities and phone numbers there. All right. And here we go. This is the North Andover report of this incident. This is from July 3rd, 2025. No crime involved. Her dad did call them. Okay, here we go. Number involved. Number 1, Stephen Fitzsimmons, that is Kelsey's dad, male, white. Number 2, Justin Aylaian. And look what they put his address as, 125 Phillips Brook Road. That's probably what it says on his driver's license, but doesn't mean he really lives there. Location type, residence, home, apartment, sector 1, 125 Phillips Brook Road, North Andover, Massachusetts. And the event is noted as a disturbance. This is the North Andover Police Department narrative for Patrol Officer William Marcotte. Entered on July 7th. This is when they entered it into the system. I, Officer William Marcotte of the North Andover Police Department, report the following summary of facts. On Thursday, July 3rd, 2025, I was assigned to fully marked Cruiser 305 and sectors 2-3 for my regularly scheduled 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. shift. At approximately 10:04 a.m., I was dispatched to 125 Phillips Brook Road for a reported disturbance. Upon my arrival, I spoke with the homeowner, Stephen Fitzsimmons, who had recently arrived to the residence. In the adjacent parking lot was Justin Alyaian. Alyaian had recently called in a civil standby detail for 10:30 a.m. I separated the Fitzsimmons and Alyaian until backup arrived. He had to separate them. After speaking with all parties, I determined that there was no issue, as Fitzsimmons and Aylaian both desired to make the process as efficient and peaceful as possible. Oh, really? 5, Officer Wedge arrived shortly thereafter for the detail, and all units cleared. All right, well, if Stephen Fitzsimmons was at the residence and Justin was at the adjacent parking lot, why did you have to separate them? It sounds like they were already separated. And Officer Wedge arrived. Did he come with bacon bits and blue cheese dressing? Asking for a friend. Did he go in the house, this Officer Marcotte? Did he notice the broken down cameras? Reported at 10:04. a.m. So who reported at 10:04 a.m.? Sounds like it was Steve Fitzsimmons who reported it, not Justin, because Justin's call started at 9:41 a.m. And it was only 3 minutes long. They don't attach the transcript of Steve's call to the police because I think it was Steve who called them at 10:04 a.m., right? Ten 10:04 a.m. is when he was dispatched for a reported disturbance. Remember, this is their motion to try and keep out any promises, rewards, and inducements that they are not and will not prosecute Justin Aylaian in exchange for his testimony. That's why we're learning all of this and getting all the documents. But they only attach what they want us to see. In addition, Officer Marcotte reported there was no mention of a breaking and entering by either party at the time. He spoke with Fitzsimmons and Alyaian together, and they both agreed they wished to resolve this issue peacefully and efficiently. Officer Marcotte observed Alyaian and Fitzsimmons embrace in a hug and engage in an emotional conversation. Alyaian said he was sorry about everything. Fitzsimmons said, "It's not your fault. She is sick. She needs help." Okay. We'll see. She had been out on postpartum depression. Everyone knew it, including her job. Footnote 2, which says Officer Marcotte's report contradicts Stephen Fitzsimmons' unsworn, unsigned, undated letter filed by the defense counsel in his motion where he claimed he ran back to the driveway yelling to the police, "Somebody broke in, somebody broke in." But I want to see one thing. Officer Marcotte reported there was no mention of a breaking and entering by either party at any time. We just read the report. This is Marcotte's report. Am I missing it? Where does it say here in this police report, there was no mention of a breaking and entering at any time? If I'm blind and I don't see it there, tell me why it says that in the papers. Okay, you can screenshot that. We just read it together. And Gubitosi puts in his papers all of this additional information. In addition, Officer Marcotte reported, here's the air quotes, there was no mention of a breaking and entering by either party at any time. He spoke with Fitzsimmons and Alyaian together, and they both agreed they wished to resolve this issue peacefully and efficiently. Officer Marcotte, and this is all in quotes, observed Alyaian and Fitzsimmons embrace in a hug and engage in an emotional conversation. None of that's in the report. Alyaian said he was sorry about everything. Fitzsimmons said, "It's not your fault. She's sick. She needs help." All of that is in air quotes because it's not in the report. Where did Officer Marcotte report that? And why is it not in your papers? He was going to empty the whole house. I think so too, Paula. That's why he needed 3 guys with him and 2 hours. We're going to get to the last exhibit when we get to it. Argument. In an attempt to obfuscate and distract, the Commonwealth anticipates that the defendant will question Alyaian on claimed promises, rewards, or inducements related to his entry into Phillips Brooks Road on July 3rd of 2025. However, where the evidence related to the claims demonstrate no cognizable crime, questioning on the subject is irrelevant. Really? You mean there's no crime because your officer said it was cool to go there, that he had every legal right to be there? Gotcha. Cool. In order to cross-examine a witness and demonstrate bias in his testimony, the defendant, quote, must make a plausible showing that the circumstances existed on which the alleged bias is based. Citing a case from 1995. Evidence of bias usually exposes a prior connection or relationship between the defendant and witness or some motivating actual or potential benefit to the witness from false testimony. In this case, the Commonwealth could not legally or ethically prosecute Alyaian related to his conduct on July 3rd, 2025 at 120 Phillipsbrook Road. Really? Where are my attorneys in the chat? The Commonwealth could not legally or ethically prosecute Alyaian related to his conduct on July 3rd of 2025. Because why? Because you told him he could? Because you told him he could? You can't ethically prosecute him because there's a conflict of interest. Another district attorney could, based on the gross negligence of your own Sergeant Gehrke. See Commonwealth v. Bell. Probable cause requires reasonably trustworthy information sufficient to warrant a prudent man in believing that the defendant had committed an offense. And also quoting the Massachusetts Rule of Professional Conduct 3.8a, a prosecutor shall refrain from prosecuting where the prosecutor lacks a good faith belief that probable cause to support the charge exists. Oh, that's ironic coming from the Commonwealth. Here, the reliable evidence demonstrated that Alyaian and the defendant jointly possessed the property at least until he removed his possessions on July 3rd of 2025, footnote 3. Footnote 3 says, on June 30th of 2025, Alyaian told the police that he had been living there with Kelsey since May of 2024, estimate, which is consistent with what the police observed during their search of the home. What, they observed his shit lying around on the floor? That's what they observed? So they just assumed? Okay. These really great detectives, by the way. Everywhere. Norfolk County, Essex County, such great detectives they are. Encyclopedia Brown could have done better. Hold, please. And again, only Kelsey's name was on the deed, and he told them that. In the home, the police found tools, hunting items, and closets full of male clothing and shoes. Closets full of male clothing and shoes. Alyaian also swore under oath in filings with the probate court that he paid half the mortgage of the home and at least half of the utilities from May of 2024 through June of 2025. When did he file those papers? Right. He self-snitched, so he thought he was covered. That could be in the papers that we covered, and I don't recall at this moment if they are or not. If that is or not, that he paid half the mortgage and at least half the utilities. Only the defendant, in her unsigned statement, claimed that Alyaian had moved out days prior to June 30th, 2025, which is inconsistent with all witness statements indicating that the defendant and Alyaian were together during their Jack and Jill party in May in the prior weekend. Oh, so he asked Justin's family and friends if he had moved out and they said no. Yeah, they were roommates. And you don't own it because you pay half the utility and mortgages. Again, all good things pointed out in the chat. But because the police observed hunting items, tools, and closets full of male clothing and shoes, he had every legal right to go in there, according to them. Now, remember also what Gubitosi said in open court during the last hearing is that they've never spoken to Justin. They've never spoken to him. Nobody's ever spoken to him since this incident. And so they don't really know if he's going to plead the fifth or what he's going to do. But if he does, we'll immunize him. He clearly said, right? I'm not conflating my cases, am I? That they have not spoken to Justin and they don't know what he's going to say. We haven't talked to him. We don't know what he's going to say. But if he does take the fifth, we'll immunize him. No big whoop. Yeah, a woman can't own tools, right? And he took her belongings, not his. Denise is pointing out. Right. Scott McGinnis says it's the same pattern over and over. If people like Justin weren't so connected, the police would have done to him what they would do to any John Doe. Right. It doesn't give him ownership interest in the house, says Sue. Here for the deal says, who cares what he paid when he took out the restraining order and swore that he lived in Stowe. Carrie B says, see, I knew he felt financially owed. Maria says, hunting items like knives and guns? Law Junkie says, in all honesty, even if he has everything else explained, he broke the door down and destroyed her property and stole money and laptop. That's the issue. And her passport. And then they say Commonwealth versus Ricardo from 1988. The Commonwealth must prove that the defendant had no right of habitation or occupancy in the apartment at the time of the entry. And Commonwealth v. Kalinowski, the gravamen of the crime charged is not that the building allegedly broken and entered belonged to another, rather that the defendant broke and entered a building not his own. They're really twisting themselves into a pretzel to try and make the advice that their sergeant gave to Justin allegedly 100% accurate. Moreover, although the locks had apparently been changed and Alyaian made forceful entry, he had no felonious or malicious intent where he had been given permission by the North Andover police to remove his belongings and even hired a police detail to ensure the process went smoothly. No, he didn't hire them. Criminal says, my head has just popped off and landed into Melanie's lap. Just in premeditated accusations. This is insane. How do you know what his intent was when you never spoke to him? He didn't just obtain his, this is so insane that I can't even explain to you how insane this really is. Commonwealth versus Walter, 1996. Intent to commit a felony is an essential element of crime of breaking and entering in daytime with intent to commit felony. Are you relying on your recordings with your police officers and Justin? Because that's the only statement you have from Justin. You never spoke to him. How do you know what his intent was? He didn't hire anyone. He's clear as day. He's not paying for it. And he lied. He told your officers, this is just, heads everywhere. There are heads popping off everywhere. Commonwealth v. Doyle, 2013 case, which says, in addition to the intent to inflict injury to property, the crimes require a state of mind infused with cruelty, hostility, or revenge. Isn't that exactly what he did? By getting the order to take her baby away? And anything that followed from that, do you think maybe the same state of mind was infused with cruelty, hostility, or revenge? Because maybe she broke up with him, broke off the engagement, so he went and took her baby away and got a restraining order. And they want you to believe that Officer Mark Coakley saw Justin and Kelsey's dad hugging it out, bro. And so, there couldn't be any malicious intent or felonious intent because, again, they've never spoken to him. Given the defendant's biased and untruthful presentation of the evidence related to Aylaian's July 3rd, 2025 entry into 120 Phillipsburg Road. Oh, so now it's Kelsey who's biased and untruthful. The Commonwealth cannot rely on her other uncorroborated, unsworn statements relating to other alleged crimes. With respect to a stolen, quote, air quote, love letter, the Commonwealth photographed the letter during the execution of the search warrant and provided it to the defendant in discovery. You photographed it during the execution of the search warrant, but Justin stole it afterwards, and it's helpful to Kelsey's case. But again, he's not charged with tampering with evidence. We gave it to you in discovery, so no big whoop that he stole it. We're not going to go after him because that wasn't felonious. There was no intent to tamper with evidence. How the F do you know if you've never spoken to the man? Similarly, claims related to identity fraud and unauthorized access to a computer based on screenshots alone do not weather even surface level scrutiny. For example, the Commonwealth was able to conclude that the disputed withdrawal of $5,000 was from a joint checking account and that in January 2025, Alyaian had deposited a $5,000 check made out to him from his grandmother for their child, See Exhibit 5. Oh, so now you're going to do an investigation? Now, when you've been called out in open court, now you've spoken to Justin, apparently, because you asked Justin for proof that the stolen money was really his. Even if it's in a joint bank account, you can't just take it. Are we in the twilight zone? We are in 100% the twilight zone right now. So let's see what their evidence is that in January of 2025, which was once again 6 months prior to him taking $5,000 out of the account, I'm sure the $5,000 that the grandmother gave was spent already in the joint checking account. I don't know what their joint checking account was for. Maybe it was for household expenses, baby things. I don't know what it was for, but you can bet your ass that that $5,000 had already been spent, and he just took another $5,000 out of that account if it was from 6 months prior to this. And remember that the baby wasn't born until February. Okay? See Exhibit 5. Oh, okay. Let's go to Exhibit 5. He provided them with a deposit, a $5,000 check that was deposited in there. And so I really didn't steal it because my grandmother gave it to me 6 months ago. Let me just take this down for a second in case I got to redact anything. Hold, please. Oh, this is getting me mad so early in the morning. It's not really morning. It's afternoon now. Good afternoon. Let's see, shall we? It's a Capital One bank statement. Let me just make sure everything is redacted. All right, let's see. I mean, this is unbelievable. This guy's trying to keep himself out of a couple of felonies, and so he just is trying to provide them with some proof that he didn't really commit a felony. My grandma gave me $5,000 for the baby, and so I'm allowed to just steal it back. Let's see if I've got everything. Okay. Okay, with your bad self. Let's see what Justin gives them for proof that he was allowed to steal the $5,000 and that there was no felony. Here you go. This is Exhibit 5. This purports to be a Capital One bank statement from June 1st to June 30th of 2025. And it is sent to, or the address is Justin Aylaian, 125 Phillipsbrook Road, North Andover. And here's your June 2025 bank statement. There are 3 accounts listed. Checking baby is a joint account with Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Okay. So in June 2025, there was at the beginning of June $12.64 in the account, and June 30th, there was $20.55 in the account. In the savings for baby K, the baby K and J, June 1st, there was $4,579.67. June 30th, there was $4,492.73. And then, so there's 2 accounts. Opening balance, but he broke into the house in July. So what is it proving? He broke into the house in July, and that's when he took the money, was in July. So I don't care about the June 30th statement at all. And here's the transactions that occurred between on June 9th, somebody put a deposit of $100 in there. And then there was a debit card purchase from something, or a digital card purchase from SP Bobby San Francisco for $97, $92.09. June 9th was a $100 deposit. Looks like maybe it was a transfer from the savings account. And then there was a $92 purchase. Okay. And here it is. They took money out of this account on June 9th, $100, and then put it into the other account. And June 30th, the closing balance was $4,492.73. Okay, so what? He took the money in July. And then here's the January of 2025 bank statement. Which is the baby checking account had $10 in it at the beginning of the month and $11.02 at the end of the month of January. I'm sorry, this is January. And the savings account for baby K and J started with $261.91. And by January 31, there was $5,275.53. Again, there's no statements in between. Account closed. Deposit from Kelsey's travel fund. Closing balance $11.02. The savings for baby K and J has a $5,000 deposit on January 6th and a closing balance of $5,275.53. This is before the baby's even born. Here's what purports to be a check to Justin Aylaian for $5,000 from somebody whose last name is Alyaian on December 26th of 2024 for $5,000 that Justin deposited in that account. Could have been a Christmas present. December 26th of 2024. They deposited it in January. But according to Gubitosi, he had every right to take that money back since 6 months later. Hello. Of course, the money is considered gone. Absolutely, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Right? This is insane. But thanks, Justin, for giving us all the proof that you think that you were entitled to break into the house. And take whatever you wanted, including her laptop, in which to, I guess he is absolutely admitting that he took $5,000 out of the account and diverted it to himself. They're not showing proof of that, but they're admitting it because they're saying, for example, the Commonwealth was able to conclude, how did you conclude that? Because Justin gave you some proof to get out of a felony, that the disputed withdrawal of $5,000 was from a joint checking account, and that in January, Aylaian had deposited a $5,000 check made out to him from his grandmother for their child. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Therefore, the defendant should not be permitted to raise the specter of a promise, reward, or inducement with respect to Aylaian's testimony where such questioning has no good faith basis, in fact, and would lead to a trial within a trial on Aylaian's conduct on July 3rd of 2025. Well, I mean, every witness is entitled to be questioned on bias. In my opinion, all this stuff should come in. I don't know this judge. Is this Judge Karp? I don't know this judge, and I don't know what he's going to do with this. But in my opinion, all this stuff should come in. If it causes a trial within a trial, so be it. But they can say all they want that Justin Aylaian is not a percipient witness here. But Justin Aylaian is the reason that all of these events occurred. Citing a 2013 case, Commonwealth v. Kindell, If a plausible basis is not demonstrated, or the relevance of the proposed evidence is of no more than marginal value, the judge has discretion to exclude the evidence. XOXO, Paul Tucker, we're not going to prosecute Justin Aylaian, district attorney. By Marina Moriarty. Well, that's interesting how Gubitosi didn't file these papers. Gubitosi, the air quote lawyer. And this was just filed yesterday, March 9th of 2026. And I can't wait to hear Bradl's response, Bradl's fiery response to this. Right. Good point. If it was a joint account, why would he have to steal her laptop to get the money? Ding, 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 ding. But I think also what he did was he canceled the honeymoon and took the $5,000 credit to his own account. I'm not sure if those two things are different. Right. Nothing about changing the beneficiaries. Nothing about accessing her medical records. Nothing about accessing her emails, right? And her Facebook and canceling the vacation. Logging into the Wi-Fi at his parents' house. It's all there. It's all there. I don't know. People are asking about federal crimes. I don't know. I don't know if the FBI would touch anything like this. I don't know. Let's go to the chat and see how you guys feel about this. And BB had said, if Karen gets her phones back, and this is a big if, in my opinion, she needs to have a forensic examiner. Oh, we did look at this, right? Thank you, Aunt BB, for your 10. Normal Miami mom became a member. Welcome. Think you're going to like it here. Can't they seek federal charges, bank and wire fraud? I don't know. I don't know if the feds would get involved in this. I don't know. Are the feds still investigating like MSP corruption at the highest levels? Maybe. Is this is not MSP. This is North Andover PD. Justin, did he commit federal crimes? I don't know. Would they get involved in something like this? I don't know. I'm sure all avenues are being explored, as Bradl said, outside the courthouse that one day when we saw his outside of court statements. Yeah, Mastad says it's too little for the feds, right? Like it's not huge amounts of wire fraud. And so I don't know. He did not submit a response. This was just filed yesterday, but I do have what they did file, which is their own motions in Limine, which we're going to read right after these comments. Thank God Kelsey has Bradl. It says Cruz Cupcakes. Thanks for being here for 11 months. Cosgrove's Velcro Sneaker says these two would be back together in 5 years. I don't think so. I don't think so. Thanks for hanging out with me for 12 months, but I don't think so. Thanks, Veronica, for becoming a member. Oh, look at Friend of Dog gifted 10 memberships. You are so amazing. I'm so generous, and I love you so much. Thank you so much. Charlie says, if I may, how long did the Lucy Medina jury deliberate? Oh, man. That was Friday already ago. It was Friday already ago. Maybe, do you guys know? Does anybody know? Because Court TV did not have a verdict clock up, and we were behind on the coverage. And so I'm not exactly sure what time the jury exactly went out, but I do know that they came back before we were off the air. I think the verdict was around 3:30 in the afternoon. And I think they closed and the jury got the case. 4 hours maybe, tops. And they had lunch in there too. Like 2 to 3 hours. Thanks, Cupcakes for Justice, for gifting 5 memberships. And by the way, has any mainstream media reported on Lucy Medina's verdict at all? I meant to Google that, but I didn't yet. Thank you, Cupcakes for Justice, for gifting 5 memberships. You're amazing. So amazing. Let me just do a quick search. Welcome to all the new members. I think you're going to like it here. Well, let's see something here. It looks like the only mainstream media that reported on the verdict, and I'm sorting this by date. Actually, nobody reported on the verdict except Court TV and something called CNHI. And that article was published on March 8th. A local woman was acquitted on a DV case that captured the attention of Court TV. A jury on Friday found that Lucy Medina, 58, found Lucy Medina not guilty of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon causing serious bodily injury. The Boston Globe didn't pick it up. Mass Live didn't even pick it up. The Herald didn't pick it up. Nobody picked it up. If you can find mainstream media picking up the Lucy Medina verdict, email it to me, because that is it. They didn't want you to know about it. Unfortunately for them, law girls, not attorneys, went to the courtroom and broadcast for us to stream the trial. It's insane. Thank you again for gifting 5 cupcakes of justice. Joanne said DOIC equals Department of Infants and Children. No, that's not who he wanted to talk to, though, Joanne. I'm sorry to disagree with you, but I don't think that's what he meant. I think he meant department officer in charge, because that's what he wanted to speak to. Thank you. But I need to know, like, the Massachusetts definition of it. The Eagle Tribune did. They reported on the actual verdict. Christine says, I don't always donate, Mel, but I always watch and like. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Never necessary to donate, but I do appreciate it. Soap says, imagine being Justin, thinking this would all go away and still thinking it, only to learn that some random chick from Australia knows who he is and knows everything about his dirty crimes. Thank you, Soap, for tuning in from Down Under and for your super chat. And Kelly says he felt entitled to take whatever he wanted because of the police department refusing to come. It was his get out of jail free card, and it's working apparently. Yep. Cupcakes for Justice says, I really think Justin has issues. Thanks for being with me for 9 months and for your thoughts. Jay-Z says, needed to hear this from a legal point of view. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Jay-Z. We're not done yet. Don't go anywhere. We're still doing it. Megan says, leaving in 10 days to go to Italy for 2 weeks. That's so amazing, Megan. Have a great time. Says, I'm taking you and my JLab headphones with me. Ha ha. Oh, there's a lot of other really good travel items in my Amazon list that I put on there. Go check it out. Cool stuff. Like for travel and packing, and like the headband that is a Bluetooth headband that you can use like as an eye mask on the plane, and it has earbuds in it. And so you can hook it up to your Bluetooth and you can put it over your head on the plane. It's awesome. It's like $20 for 2 of them, and they're the best. Thank you, Megan. Deshai said Justin also stole the 401k and shut down the accounts. Thank you for reminding me of that. Let's take a look here, because we wanted to know about Katie, right? So before we move into the motions in lemonade of the defense, let's take a look at this. This is Katie. This is who Katie is, okay? Katie, who was talking to Justin on the phone, who was giving him really, really, really bad advice. This is an article from the Eagle Tribune from December 10th of 2025. Town police settle whistleblower lawsuit with female sergeant. North Andover, a second female officer has settled with the police chief and a former town employee after filing a whistleblower lawsuit 3 years ago. Okay, we covered this at the very beginning of my coverage, this lawsuit, but apparently it settled in December, and we covered this probably back in July. Sergeant Catherine Gehrke, aka Catherine, and now that I read the transcript, she may not have been finishing his sentences, but it may have been crossed in the transcript, so I might have to retract that later if I ever hear a recording of the transcript of the 911 calls. Sergeant Catherine Gehrke came to a settlement and mediation with former assistant town manager Denise Casey and police chief Charles Gray over claims of sexual harassment, retaliation, and gender discrimination she claimed she experienced during her time serving the department since 2005, right? And she's still there 20 years later. Gehrke, who is still employed with the department and the town, filed a joint notice of settlement on November 26th, informing the Essex County Superior Court in Newburyport and requested an order for a 30-day waiting period. An agreement for judgment or stipulation of dismissal has been ordered to be filed with the Superior Court by December 26. Gehrke filed a lawsuit under the state's Civil Rights and Whistleblower Acts in October of 2022, alleging the department violated her rights by retaliating against her for reporting, objecting to, and filing complaints about ongoing violations of law, as well as issues related to public safety and health within the department and at the station. Details of the settlement were not available yet. She originally sought $830,000 in lost wages, compensation, and damages. She alleged she was subjected to a pattern of retaliation and discriminatory treatment consisting of ongoing emotional abuse, tolerated and tacitly approved by supervisors, not limited to Police Chief Charles Gray. The complaint paints a picture of an unprofessional environment and pranks condoned by its chief. Again, go back to, I think it was my first stream. We went over the lawsuit on this. And at the time that I talked about it, I think there were 40 officers in North Andover PD and only 3 were women. Other allegations detailed Gehrke being passed over for promotions and female officers being treated as inferior in a department. When the lawsuit was filed, the sergeant said the ratio of male to female officers was 40-3. In a Facebook post in September, the North Andover Police Department highlighted its 3 female officers on National Police Women's Day, including Gehrke, for the women's strong leadership inside and outside our department walls. Oh, you mean September of 2025 when Kelsey Fitzsimmons was in jail? She alleged female officers were afforded less opportunities for growth in the department, including moving up the ranks or training, according to her complaint. She also alleged revised terms of the police's collective bargaining agreement with the town and step increases in 2022 adversely affecting her as they were changed to years of service to the town and not all years of civil years. Right. Dragonfly says Andover PD cannot charge Justin since they are North Andover, right? Since they are accomplices to breaking and entering equals the minute Justin said, I am not on the deed and not living there. Locks changed. Exactly what I said. They have a conflict. And so they were not. Of course, they're not going to prosecute him. And yes, the Alexander brothers were found guilty. Thank you, Dreamer. We covered that yesterday. They were found guilty on all charges. Praise be. Patty says, Katie also says you have a key. She didn't say you can break in if the locks are changed. Right. Black Soul Black Heart says, Kelsey's dad and Justin hugging it out. He sits on the throne of lies. Doubt her dad is hugging him after breaking into his daughter's home in camera, nonetheless. I doubt her dad is hugging him since he's the one who went and got these orders against Kelsey by himself, which resulted in Kelsey being shot in the chest and fighting for her life. Still in the hospital. And she was there for 53 days. She outlined instances where she objected to and raised concerns to Gray and other administration to the condition of the women's locker room, which had mold and actual mushrooms growing in it, according to court documents. She alleged her continued complaints against the department, like speaking out about the women's locker room compared to the men's unprofessional conduct and disparate treatment, led her to be labeled as a, air quote, a troublemaker by supervisors, including Gray. Gehrke also claimed she was subjected to retaliation for being an aide to another female officer, former Officer Kara Caffrey Rowley, who filed a Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination complaint against Gray for sexual harassment discrimination. Caffrey Rowley settled with the department on her complaint for an undisclosed sum of money. Gehrke said her support for her fellow female officer negatively impacted Gray's opinion of her. Oh, so of course Gehrke now can't support her fellow female officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons. because I'm sure that Charles Gray has not changed his behavior. What say you? Denise said they were practical jokes. Gray is a sick man. Scott says you as a cop cannot allow a crime to be committed, even to retrieve property, and that's exactly what they did. Thank you. Right, memory. Perhaps her dad didn't know he had destroyed the property at the time the cops came. Right. She cited other consequences from questioning departmental decision making, such as when she suggested separating being the court and firearms officer as part of the duties of the school resource officer, a position she held in 2013 in order to better focus on issues in the schools. She said her recommendations were not well received and she ultimately resigned from the position, but later some of the duties she suggested were removed from the school's resource officer's responsibilities. Gehrke said Gray, quote, began to implement and foster a culture of discriminatory and harassing conduct when he became chief in 2016. There's a lot of beef in the department against Gray, it seems. During a consultant interview conducted by the town to review the department in October 2020, Gehrke identified and complained of numerous instances of discriminatory and harassing conduct that she had witnessed and been a victim of personally, according to court papers. She said she sought personal counseling to handle stress from her work after the department refused to provide mental health assistance or critical incident stress management to officers who responded to the 2018 gas disaster. In the same interview, Gehrke said she told the review committee that when she brought the issue up with Gray about counseling, he responded that, quote, it's a part of the job. In her complaint, Gehrke alleged a paper shredder in the department labeled Marie by a male officer after its female animal control officer who resigned in 2018. Oh, they labeled a paper shredder after the female animal control officer who resigned in 2018. That's not weird at all. Quote, this was done with the intention of comparing the female officer to trash. Oh, now I get it. According to the lawsuit, she alleged in May of 2022 that some male staff members still referred to the machine as Marie. Oh, that's hilarious. Guess that's why they didn't really care about Kelsey's well-being after being shot, and it was all about Justin. And it's wild to me that it was this exact sergeant, Gehrke, telling Justin that, oh yeah, we feel really bad for you, Justin. According to her lawsuit, Gray also made comments to Gehrke about how female officers who filed complaints were setting themselves up for a payday. Defense counsel repeatedly filed motions to delay a jury trial. In a pretrial briefing jointly filed by both parties, Gehrke was to present evidence that she was illegally discriminated against, while the defense looked to offer evidence to demonstrate Gehrke's main grievance was actually with the police union and town and the negotiated collective bargaining agreement in 2022. Yeah. And yet, in December 2025, this lawsuit against the department was settled for an undisclosed amount. Because most settlements, no settlements really are filed with the court. They are confidential and undisclosed. And so there's that. All right, moving on. You would think it's still the 60s. Yep. Wouldn't you? Moving on to the motions in limine filed by the defense. The ones that I have so far. Who knows? There may be more. Let me just make it a little bit bigger for you. And this is only 6 pages, so there's not, yeah, what an ironic time to settle, huh? Yeah, Kelsey's been shot. Kelsey's in the hospital. Or Kelsey by December. Wait, was Kelsey released finally in time for Christmas? No, right? I remember she was released out for Christmas. I mean, after Christmas, because we really wanted her released for Christmas. And I don't think she was, right? So in December 2025, that's when they decided to settle the lawsuit. Oh, that's interesting. And I wonder if there's like a non-disclosure agreement, so she's not allowed to talk about it if she's called to the stand or anything. I wonder. Mullen Law is here and says taxpayers have the right to know the amount. Well, if you can find out what it is, please let me know. Wait, she was released on 12/23, so she did get released for Christmas, because I remember us hoping that she would be. But I just don't remember what happened, because already that was over 2 months ago. Thank you. Right before Christmas. She was. Okay, so it was a happy Christmas, I remember. Yeah, 2 days before Christmas. Thanks, Law Girls. Yeah, she got out because remember they were going to go pick a tree and decorate it. Yes, 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 yes. I remember. That's what she said outside of court. Okay, good. Thank you. That's why I have you guys, because you guys remember everything that I can't remember, because I can't remember everything all the time. Although I do remember a lot, right? All right, let's pull this up. And then we're going to talk about your thoughts after this. Okay, so this is a 6-page document. This is defendant Kelsey Fitzsimmons' motion for certain rulings in limine. So all the things they are asking the court to rule on before the trial. They will likely argue these motions on Thursday at the hearing that we will cover live. That's what it was, right? She was released for Christmas. She was not released for Thanksgiving. Yes, because we were hoping she was going to be released for Thanksgiving. Thank you, XO Nicole. Right. She was excited to celebrate Christmas with her dog. It's all coming back to me now. Sometimes I just need a little context clues. All right, here we go. Now comes the defendant, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, by and through undersigned counsel, and respectfully requests that the court enter certain findings in limine as follows. I'm gotta get my highlighter ready. Okay. 1, sequestration. That the court ordered trial witnesses to be sequestered. Specifically, defendant requests that all witnesses be ordered during the pendency of the trial not to speak with any other witnesses about their testimony, either before or after testifying. That is standard, by the way. And that all witnesses be excluded from the courtroom for the pendency of the trial. Witnesses may discuss their testimony with the attorneys and non-witness investigators at any time. Well, except for when they're actively under oath and there's a break in the testimony and they got to come back the next day. In the event a police investigator is allowed to assist at counsel table throughout the trial, defendant requests that he or she be specifically ordered to abide by the court's order. Remember, we saw that in Edric Faust's case. Again, that was in Georgia, but Liz, I'm just Liz, sat in the courtroom for the entirety of the testimony. Sometimes, I'll point out to you that sometimes there are exceptions made for a family. Okay. 2, opinion terms. Ms. Fitzsimmons further requests that opinion-based terms such as the target of an investigation, victim, okay, here I'll use my air quotes again, target, victim, or the suspect be excluded in favor of fact-based terms or proper names, as the jury is the proper arbiter of who the perpetrators were in the case rather than any particular witness, right? Like, don't refer to Noonan as the victim. Three, limitation on use of other acts. The Commonwealth has loaded up the witness list on this simple case, seeking to use a wide-ranging collection of witnesses to plumb the depths of Miss Fitzsimmons' past, going back to 2018. We looked at the witness list, right? There's a cop on there from 2018 who may have arrested her somewhere in North Carolina for I forget even what. Underage drinking. I don't even remember what it was for. Do you guys remember? Let me know in the chat. To the contrary, the narrow issue here is whether Ms. Fitzsimmons committed an assault with a dangerous weapon against Patrick Noonan on June 30th, 2025, in the bedroom at 125 Phillips Brook Road in North Andover. North Carolina, underage drinking. Thank you, Norma, Miami mom. Thank you, Nicole, underage drinking. The Commonwealth's listed witnesses, as well as many of the defendant's responsive/rebuttal listed witnesses, are largely outside the limits of relevance and would serve only as prohibited conformity or propensity evidence. Massachusetts Guide to Evidence, Section 404b1, codifies Commonwealth case law providing that, quote, evidence of a crime, wrong, or other act is not admissible to prove a person's character in order to show that on a particular occasion, the person acted in accordance with that character. Setting a case that goes all the way back to 1978. Evidence of a prior bad act may not be admitted to show the defendant has a bad character or a propensity to commit the crime charged. See Commonwealth v. Valentin, 2016. Admission of evidence concerning the defendant's ownership of weapons other than the weapon used to commit the crime was improper because it portrayed him as someone who was likely to commit murder, the crime which was charged. This rule stems from the belief that such evidence forces the defendant to answer accusations not set forth in the indictment, confuses his defense, diverts the attention of the jury, and may create undue prejudice against him. Here, the Commonwealth has sought to introduce evidence concerning an expunged 2018 case from North Carolina, a dispute with unrelated parties in Bethel, Maine on a prior date. That's the what they're now calling, or what the Commonwealth is calling, the Jack and Jill party. Carrie says, how do you cover up a bad shoot by one of your cops? You charge the victim with crimes. This is so disturbing. All right. Here, the Commonwealth has sought to introduce evidence concerning an expunged 2018 case in North Carolina, a dispute with unrelated parties in Bethel, Maine on a prior date, the substance of her estranged fiancé's ex parte affidavit, along with his testimony assailing her character, and has even sought to resort to the past gripes of disgruntled former boyfriends. Oh, really? Did that witness list that we looked at include some of her former boyfriends? Oh, wow. Yeah, a dispute with unrelated parties in Bethel, Maine on a prior date. So she had a dispute with more than just Justin. I guess that's what they're trying to say. None of these evidentiary topics and none of the witnesses who would testify to them serve any relevant or admissible purpose under Massachusetts law. In fact, no discovery has been provided that would in any way grant a basis under 404 for the Commonwealth to use such testimony. Even if some facially proper basis was able to be mustered, the dangers of unfair prejudice, character assassination, trials within the trial, confusion over unrelated topics, substantially outweigh any conceivable probative value. So that is always the test. Does the prejudice of allowing this testimony in outweigh any probative value to help the jury decide the issues in this case? And if it's more prejudicial than probative, it is always should be ruled in favor of the defense, because the defendant is the one who's entitled to a fair trial, right? And then, quote, 404b2 says, however, evidence of other bad acts is inadmissible where its probative value is outweighed by the risk of unfair prejudice of the defendant, even if not substantially outweighed by that risk. The Commonwealth should not be allowed to infect the pretrial process itself by publishing these prejudicial attempts at character assassination without first making a detailed written offer of proof as to the admissibility under 404. See also Commonwealth v. Martin, use of alias by Commonwealth, improper reference to other act of potential bad character. Admission of such unrelated past events would serve only as purported evidence of bad character to show the defendant acted in conformity therewith, which is barred in the Commonwealth. Finally, most if not all the prior bad acts referenced in Section 404 are invoked only where a defendant argues self-defense to then open the door for this type of evidence, right? Here, there is no predicate self-defense issue raised by the defendant. Therefore, the entire topic is foreclosed to the Commonwealth. Number 4, voir dire. That the court allow the following and related attorney-conducted voir dire questions along with appropriate follow-up questions as follows. A, have you had any involvement with domestic or other restraining orders? B, have you had any involvement with contested child custody matters? C, there may be references to an attempt to take one's own life. Is there anything about that topic that would make it difficult for you to sit as a juror on this case? D, is any member of your family or a close personal friend employed or retired from serving as a police officer or other law enforcement officer? E, are you now or were you ever a member of a law enforcement agency, public or private, in civilian or in military life, whether paid or voluntary? F, when you learn that the police have arrested or charged a person for a crime, what do you say to yourself concerning the likelihood that the person, in fact, is guilty of the crime? Do you believe a person would not be arrested or charged unless he had done something wrong? Do you believe that if someone is arrested, indicted, or charged with a crime, then he or she must therefore be guilty of some crime? Many people do think that, by the way. They're sitting in that chair, so they must be guilty of something. Do you believe that a criminal defendant should testify at his trial in order to help establish his innocence? Does the fact that Ms. Fitzsimmons is sitting here today facing charges make you think that she must have done something wrong? Do you belong to or support any organization or group, religious or otherwise, whose philosophy or beliefs would make it difficult for you to decide the issues in a criminal case? Do you understand the proposition that if you view two competing versions of the facts of the case to be equally likely, that is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt? All great questions. We've seen different judges in Massachusetts handle their voir dire or their jury selection in different ways. Sometimes the attorneys are allowed to ask questions or probe more on questions. Sometimes they're not. Who knows what Judge Karp is going to say? But to me, at least here in New York, because that's where I practice, all of these questions would be proper. All of them. And I don't see how the Commonwealth can oppose to keep any of those questions out. The defendant further moves pursuant to General Law 234, Section 28, Massachusetts Criminal Rule 20. Individual voir dire required in case involving interracial murder on request of defendant, that these questions be asked by counsel during an individual voir dire examination of each potential juror. Otherwise, possible personal issues or community attitudes towards the offense with which she is charged may cause a decision to be made in whole or in part upon issues extraneous to the case. So they want to maybe, I'm thinking of a case that we watched recently where each juror was brought up to sidebar and questioned. I don't remember now if it was a Massachusetts case. But I think I also remember not individual voir dire not being allowed in other Massachusetts cases. So now I'm conflating all of my cases in my head. Sometimes they do it by a panel voir dire where they ask everyone sitting in the box at the same time all questions like, raise your hand if any of you have done this, or if any of you have seen this, or if any of you have this, and then you just raise your paddle. And so we'll see what the judge does with this. Otherwise, personal, and that is true, because sometimes people are afraid to raise their paddle for something like in front of all the other jurors. And if there's a couple hundred people in the room, do any of you think that just because my client is sitting here that she must be guilty? People would be embarrassed to raise their paddle for that question, right? Or the reverse could be true on another question. 5, that the court excludes certain prejudicial and inadmissible references as follows: that the defendant resigned from the police force, that the residence of defendant is, quote, known to us as a repeat offender or repeat location of police visits, that the defendant fled a particular location, Any attempted characterizations or opinions about the defendant's testimony or state of mind that the defendant was a target of an investigation, and any other interpretive purported opinion testimony about what was said or intended by another person and related references. Wherefore, the defendant respectfully requests that the court enter the foregoing rulings and grant any such other further relief as it deems meet and proper. XOXO, Timothy Bradl, Martha Coakley, March 9th, 2026. Yes, yesterday was Scott Messerschmidt's birthday. Everyone say happy birthday to Scott Messerschmidt. I didn't want to out him because many mods don't want people to know when their birthday is, but he pointed it out yesterday. So happy birthday, Scott, from all of us to all of you. I hope it was awesome. I don't think any of those requests for motions in limine by the defense are out of line. However, I do disagree with the Commonwealth's motion in limine because Justin essentially has been promised that he is not going to be prosecuted for breaking and entering into Kelsey Fitzsimmons' house and for all the things that he stole and all of the crimes that he may have committed because he's on the witness list. Right? Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? Thank you, Desiderata, for buying me a matcha latte. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All hail to Chaka. She says, Zeta, thank you for your cash app. That is very appreciated. She says, thanks. Thank you for all that you do. I appreciate you. Thank you, Heidi. I do have the search warrant, but that's not what I need. What I don't misunderstand me. I have all the papers that are related to that, but I'm trying to, thank you for sending that to me. But the discussion that I had was about trying to find the search warrant in the docket. And it doesn't exist. You can't find all of the filings there. Oh, yes. Okay, hold on. Thank you, Suze, for sending this to me. And we're trying to find out the date of Judge Krupp's order. I mean, this is an article by Ted Daniel from February 13th of 2026. In a legal setback for the Norfolk DA's office, a judge has denied a request by a special prosecutor to analyze 2 iPhones belonging to Karen Reed. The ruling by Judge Peter Krupp prevents investigators, at least for now, from searching the devices, which were seized in January 2024 as part of a witness intimidation investigation. While the specific rationale for the denial remains under seal, right? So it's under seal. We never got Krupp's order. That's why I can't find it. Reed's attorney, Benjamin Urbella, suggested that the prosecution's delay played a critical role in the judge's decision. The prosecution now has a 30-day window to file an appeal or a motion for reconsideration regarding the search warrant. This article wasn't published until February 13th of 2026, but it doesn't say when the order was dated. It may just be that Ted Daniel didn't get his hands on it. Somebody didn't send it to him until February 13th. But how do we know that the order, I know that you're telling me right now, big old dog, that the order is dated January 30th, but how do you know that? Where's the receipt on that? Is it somewhere? Like, is it? Nobody's seen the order because it's under seal. Did somebody say it in open court? Like, I don't know. Because if it was actually signed February 13th, that would mean that they still have a couple of days to appeal, to file a notice of appeal on that Krupp order. There's no deadline to file a motion for reconsideration, so they can do that before appealing to the appeals court. Good point. Good point. Didn't Judge Cannoni question the jurors at the bench? I don't know. I wasn't there for jury selection, but did you call them up one by one? Commonwealth, as far as I know, has not filed a notice of appeal, but we can't get to the docket because it's under a search warrant number. And I guess it's all sealed. It's all sealed. Outdoor Psychic says, I wonder if Katie has also been promised anything. I'm willing to bet these promises and protection goes deep. Well, she settled her lawsuit. Coincidentally, around the time that Kelsey was in jail, Kelsey wasn't released until December 23rd. Scott McGinnis says, Judge Krupp's ruling being under seal, and now the case handed over to Judge Doolin leaves all of us in the dark as to all the details. Judge Doolin is slow walking the return of Karen Reed's phones now. Well, yeah, we covered that thing. That was the first thing we covered. He says she has every right to have him back, but the Commonwealth can hold the phones until the appeals are exhausted. And as I explained in the beginning, that could be a very, very, very long time. She got her lawsuit money in December. Well, it said it was settled, I think, that it was filed, that it was settled, undisclosed amount. Usually they have 30 days to pay if it's a private defendant. Sometimes if it's a municipal defendant, they get 90 days to pay. So I think it was marked settled in December. She may not have received her money yet, actually, in fact. It was a non-ruling ruling. It was like, here's all the reasons why she should get her property back, and she should get her property back, but the Commonwealth can hold the property until the appeals are exhausted. So there's that. What else do you have on your mind, friends? Anything else on your mind? Oh, thanks, Gigi. You sent me that before the show for your Cash App. Appreciate you so much. All right. Well, I'm sure I will not be away for long, but it has been a lovely almost 4 hours that we have spent together today. And I don't know if your outrage has increased since reading all of those transcripts from the 911 calls that Justin made to North Andover PD over a 2-day period, the day before he broke in and the day he broke in. And Limine says, thank you so much for continuing to follow this whole Corruptachusetts. We need your voice. They're trying to shut me up. And who knows if it'll work someday. But as of right now, don't. It's not working. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, you guys. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you comment after the video is over. That also helps the algorithm. More people need to know about this, about what's going on with Kelsey Fitzsimmons and Essex Superior. And also keep in mind, Judge Karp is the same judge who presided over the John Kerry trial in Massachusetts, in which John Kerry was just convicted in a 1986 murder involving Claire Gravel. People say some shenanigans happened during that trial, but I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet because I'm so busy with so many topics. But I will indeed see you soon. Thank you to the moderators for keeping it classy today. It is never easy over here, and I love you guys with all my heart. Happy birthday, Scott Messerschmidt, whose birthday was yesterday. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy, and above all, stay safe. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Make sure your notifications are set so that you'll never miss a thing. But I think what I'm going to do this week is, since everyone is so interested in Corey Richins, and that coverage starts like noonish if you're watching it with Emily, I'll go 9:30 in the morning so that you can watch me in the morning before you jump over to Emily to watch Corey Richins. So this week, and maybe for as long as that trial goes on, just count on 9:30 morning streams from me. And Thursday, that hearing is also set for 9:30, so we might come in a little bit before 9:30. And that's the way we're going to do it. So just plan on that. It's easier to plan when you know what time you got to come hang out with me. All right? I love you guys. Peace.